And we are live, hopefully, probably. Hello, everyone. Hello, Ray Ray. Hello, Knockout. Hello, Aurora. If anyone could let me know in case my audio is off or anything needs to be adjusted, that would be very great. Otherwise, hello. Hi, how is everybody doing? And for those of you in the EU, I hope an extra hour makes your lives a little bit easier. Let's just tweak the audio a bit. We'll give it a couple seconds here, and then we'll get started. Just wait for anyone to trickle in. And I think what we'll do is we'll start out doing the Marauder stuff. One, because we want to keep going down that road as we can. And two, because I think it's a good warm-up. Hello, Knockout. Yeah, hello, Aurora. I am well. I am a little sick. I have a cough, but it's more bronchitis related. It's not the Rona or anything, so I will be fine, though I may intermittently cough during the stream. Sound good to me. Thank you, D. Awesome, awesome. Cool. Thank you, everyone. That's the worst thing is like, oh, I won't know it's bad until after I'm done if no one tells me. Also, I'd figure I mentioned to avoid confusion in the Discord. I'm Edward. Okay, not sure when or where I'd mention it, but I thought it would be... Yeah, totally. Thank you for doing that. It's hard to keep track of everyone when everybody has different names, and it's not just you, it's all of us. I mean, heck, I have 2 different characters for this game that I go under. So, yeah, no worries whatsoever. Thanks for letting me know. I'm RG. Okay, thank you, Aurora, in the Discord. Cool. Fierce Blue, I've been coughing a bit too, and I'm hoping it's just that, but also hello. Hello to you. I hope you end up being well as well, and I hope you feel better. And I hope it is nothing serious. And if it is something serious, I hope you get better all the same. Okay, let's go ahead and start doing Marauder stuff. So apparently I'm going to have to open it up with Cookie Monster again. Okay. Me want cookies. Yeah. Okay, something like that.
Elio, there are trouble afoot. Do you recall a lad whose parents were slain by Beast Kujata? The boy's grandfather, Nedard, but recently contacted with worrisome news. Young Sidhart has gone missing. There have been sightings of Kujata in the area, and it would seem that child felt compelled to seek the creature out. As you are familiar with the boy and his tragic tale, I would have you attend to this matter. My sister, Solquib, awaits you at the Bismarck. She has been apprised of the situation, and will aid you in plotting a suitable course of action.
That was just gruff. I need to sit down at one of these, like, actually practice Cookie Monster. I mean, even if he leaves, I need a whole portfolio of voices ready to go as we continue on through the story. Howdy, Vein Dog. Good to see you. Aurora, thank you for the well wishes. Solquib. Does Solquib come back somewhere else? I feel like I remember. Yeah, no, I know. Oh, no, I think I used Solquib. Yeah, I know why I remember Solquib. Ah, Elio, I assume you are here to discuss the missing child and not to sample a bowl of mutton stew. First things first, I would advise against rushing off to peer under every rock in the countryside. We need more information to direct our search. I suggest we head to the Red Rooster said, and learn what more we can from old Nedard. D, don't you hurt your voice though. Yeah, I will not push it too hard, I promise. The things that hurt my voice are, strangely not the things you would think. For instance, talking like this, I shit you not, is more comfortable than talking in my normal voice sometimes. It just literally feels that comfortable. And going gruff is not that bad either. We want to go to the lower decks. I don't know why I ran all the way over here. Wait, where the frick did I take myself? Oh, I see. I don't know why I didn't just pour it over. Yeah, at this point, the closest. Okay. I also struggled doing different voices. They end up all sounding the same. Yeah, I hear ya. Hopefully we'll avoid that for the most part, though my primary focus is to make sure each region sounds different. So, for instance, you know, I've been doing the accents for Lenosia in general, and then also like deeper voices for Rogadin versus here. When we get to Thanalin, I'll try to do that. I'll practice the Alamegan accent. I don't know if we're going to have to deal with any of it today. I might have to do Raw Bond, so I technically probably should have. But technically, the Alamegan accent doesn't come into play really until 2.55s, or 2.4-ish onwards. So, I'm technically safe until then. But I will sit down and add that to my to-do list. Right, I still do not have a mount yet. Ugh. Let's... Is there a reason you don't use Aetherites? Yes, because this Aetherite, because I thought I was closer to the Limsa Limensa upper decks entrance to Lower Lenosia, and this Aetherite, the only Aetherite in Lower Lenosia, is all the way down here, so it would just take just as long to have run there. I just ended up making it take longer because of being stupid. Okay, lol. Sometimes different facial adjustments can help with change. Yep. Mucusy voices are actually pretty easy to talk in. Yep. Hola, hey Ren, good to have you. Is there a reason you don't use Aetherites? Explain that. I have 2 voices I can do, Elmo and Angry Man. What about Angry Elmo Man? Laughs and Dungeon Master. Nice, Des. Yep. I'm kind of thankful I won't have to practice a French accent for Ishgard, because I'm pretty sure Vain Dog would kill me. Not gonna get tries in Dungeon Master. They can't do voices. Yeah. Gonna lurk while I take care of some dailies. We'll be here. Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you for hanging out. Even if it's just background noise. You could have taken the one at the Culinarian Guild. Oh, do you mean the minor Aetherites? Right. Yeah, that was just me being not thinking and reading chat while yeah, that was just me not paying attention. And like by the time I would have reached the one at the Aft Castle, it wouldn't have been particularly faster to teleport to that one because of animations than it would have been to yeah.
Thank ye God ye here. Sees me grandson set on causing naught but trouble for ye. But surely ye ken old lad feeling now, boiling with that fate of your murderous beast. And the last time when ye came along like an avenging angel, showed him the strength of your steel, well, you lit the fire in his belly. He must have gone ahead and taken revenge on the beast himself, daft little bugger. Any round, once ere Kujata been sprouted near Hillport, why he shot through the door like an arrow from a bow. Ain't seen him since. I beg of ye, find him little Sidhart before he gets himself stoned to death. That big bastard Aurochs has spilled more than enough of his kin's blood. Of course it's clear we set out for Hillport at once. An old acquaintance of mine, Pathshtim, often stands guard at the port gates, and he might know something of the lad's whereabouts. Angry Elmo Man would probably sound like glam rock band. Hon. Omelette baguette. Yeah. Reject Aetherite, embrace RP walking everywhere. I mean, but wait, okay. I realize this is probably not your point, but I would say that, like, using Aetherite is still an RP methodology of travel. I mean, it's in universe, but yeah, the not being able to tell stories while you rock around and go places. I feel you. Thought you might have been doing some kind of Iron Man thing. No. Just being not paying attention, not highly intentional. Have I seen the boy wandering about by himself? As a matter of fact, me and my fellow guard here just watched a young lad traipsing off to the north. We were arguing whether or not to abandon our posts and bring the child back ourselves. Large packs of jackals have been prowling the wilds of late, so if you mean to head after him, pray do so quickly. Hells, I might even pass along a word to the Marauders Guild. You'll be better off with an extra blade or 2 at your back. It's literally almost identical to one of the fates you have to, or not fates, leaves around here that you do. Beat the game with only a weathered axe. I mean, but, like, you could do that, right? Because even if you had particularly low DPS, there aren't a lot of things that are hyper-timed that you can't get around. I mean, there are probably some MSQ fights that you can't, but you also be hard-carried, especially if you're the off-tank for most, you know, normal level encounters. I mean, it's not like you're doing EX or Savage, so... But there's probably got to be some barrier. There's probably got to be at least a couple MSQ barriers where because you have to keep someone alive, you need to be doing a certain amount of DPS. Although if you're a tank, you can keep the aggro on you.
But there are still some where I think they focus target instead of you, so yeah. Elio is protesting Charlene taxes up fast travel. Exactly, Ren. They already got their dues. They don't need any more. You've seen the technology they have. You've seen Labyrinthos. I don't need more of my Aetherite money going to expanding Labyrinthos. It's already big enough. Hoi. Hoi indeed, Boral. Fierce Blue, I just wanted to see the so-called Aetherite fee collector seeing us teleport 50 feet away and save 5 seconds of travel. It's like, dude, seriously? Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, to their defense, they're gonna be like, fuck yeah, give me your gil. Come on. Although, I suspect, based on the lore for the mini Aetherites, I don't think there's no one collecting for those. Those are installed by the cities as a fundamental, like, civic utility. So I do think that those don't have a cost associated with them. Both literally, we're not paying a cost, but there's also no one collecting them from there. Have you found any sign of Sidhart? Sidhart's satchel, Sidhart's water skin. He must have been desperate hurry indeed to cast away his belongings in such a careless manner. I myself come across his wooden axe, a tool the lad took from the stead, perhaps. Gods below, Elio. Over there. Instance would be super troll, yeah. It'd be pretty rude to other players, though, especially as a tank. Yeah, no, I mean, Boral, if you did that, you wouldn't be doing that without telling the people around you. Or, like, using trusts where you could, or... Yeah, stuff like that, there's no way in hell I would do that without asking or telling or going in with a group of people who knew ahead of time. I take tanking too seriously. I just like, yeah. That's like inherently rude, and on top of that, I have too much pride for that. Elio. Let's kick some ass. I do feel for those people who are starting this game. Like, to say nothing of the pacing for narrative, the problem of that there's not a lot of interesting encounters in the early part of Final Fantasy XIV is a big problem for getting people into the game. It's really useful for people in my life I've known who it's their first MMO and they don't have all the skill sets and they need time to get better at the game. It's really useful for them, but at the same time, if any vets coming up from other games are, half as not likely to be like, fuck, give me something to do. Like, give me something interesting to do. But that's the curse. That's what you gotta deal with. True, but realistically, do you think people of Limsa just teleport everywhere? I feel like NPCs don't really do that much. We know they don't because we know that teleporting regularly for most people is relatively taxing, even short distances. So it's not the majority of the populace that's even using them, but it is for adventurers and those who are capable of it. What's a good way to put it? It'd be like putting... I mean, this is not quite right, but it's almost like putting bicycles around the city in that, like, you have to be capable of using a bike and also physically fit in order to use it to any effective means. Obviously, it's not a great one-to-one, but the point stands. You pay for it from city taxes on the retainer market board sales canonically. Do you have a source for that, Fierce Blue? Because the EE1, the only thing I remember it saying is specifically that they're installed as a utility. Wern Zone? Cookies. He breathes yet. We withdraw from Red Rooster Stead. Follow my lead, Elio. Bring the cookies. The older lore is that it also takes some personal aether, so it tires you out in the worry of light as well as Ring of Aether. Yeah, that is part of it, Boreal. That's why also those who are older and infirm tend to not be able to use them. At the very least with regularity. And why also there are still, like, carts for transporting supplies and stuff, and it's not just... fuck it, I'm traveling from Orby Dry Docks. It's not just used willy-nilly to move goods and everything around. Roxas, that's a stick. I don't know what you're referring to other than Roxas, obviously, Kingdom Hearts. But a no death challenge on Final Fantasy XIV would be hella something. I'm trying to think if it would actually be that hard. The only thing I think that would be hard about a no death challenge for Final Fantasy XIV, assuming you're just going through MSQ, the only thing that would be hard is other people screwing you over, in my mind. In terms of if other people don't know mechanics for trials, you can only control so much for that. So in my mind, I actually don't think it's that hard. It's more of an endurance run at that point. But hell, I wouldn't be surprised if we were able to do that. If you like omit trials with other players on the because of the off chance that they don't know what they're doing, because you could assume that you were going to do it just with friends or with people. I'm trying to think of a fight in the MSQ. Can't think of an MSQ fight, and no dungeons either. Howdy. Me, I totally made it up, but it seems likely. Yeah, just be very, very careful. In this chat in the Discord, I am kind of a stickler on this. If anyone says anything that seems like they're saying something as a factual statement about lore, you really should have a source, and also like don't if it's a joke, or just make clear it's a joke, because that is how you get a lot of problems on wikis, on forums, and a lot of miscommunication and misunderstanding, and it is something that I'm dealing with a lot lately. In comments on YouTube stuff, where like there's only so much you can do, but just let it be said that yeah, because if it's speculation, I don't think that's entirely possibly uninformed or possible circumstance, but that's not just like in terms of what the Encyclopedia Eorzea Volume 1 states. It is that they are specifically installed, whereas for a utility, whereas they like the fact that they bother specifying for the larger Aetherites they do have attacks, and the fact that to me means that an omission of that is worthy of note in and of itself. Yeah, Boreal, if you find that there is like, oh, that these mini Aetherites are financed by that, please, like, I want to know. I just, anytime I'm going to take in information, I will want a source. Decel, yeah, but the new trust system lets you do the lower level runs with NPCs. Yeah, I was joking about the kid using a stick scene in 358 Days where Roxas does the same. Ah. Oh, I see, because the kid was attacking with, okay. Can you imagine that kid runs into that thing and all of a sudden a Keyblade shows up in his hand? Never explained, just in that one Marauder quest, and then just carries on. Yeah, Aetherite fees pay maintenance for the maintenance of the Aetherites themselves, the major ones. But we're talking about the mini Aetherites specifically. That was more the quandary. Because they do not have a cost, and the only thing said about them is that they were basically installed as a public utility. I mean, they don't use the term public utility, but effectively that's what they're saying in EE1. Also, again, feel like speculation is fine. Just make sure that it's clear that that's the implication. I remember when I first started making videos and I was doing research, and I started, like, first place you want to go to, just like as maybe a baseline, is like looking at the wiki, and I'm like, oh, okay, so some of this info, okay, this is cool. And then I like started reading the books and checking the game text, and the amount of times that I'd be in a situation where something was just factually incorrect on a user-based source was just is such that I tend to not anymore like look at speculation or wikis or forum posts. Like, I only look at the text of the game. And, I mean, Encyclopedia Eorzea as well. It's stuff like this, too, that I understand why people are frustrated with ARR. Like, I had to do all this running back. It's not that this running back in and of itself is, like, particularly bad, but it accumulates. You brought him home to me. Don't got the words to thank ye. The lad's past the worst of it. He struck his head in the fall, though, and it may be some time before he opens his eyes. Thank ye for coming, brother, if you hadn't scattered those jackals when you did. I have done
Not to earn your thanks. When I learned the situation from airport, I realized dangers were greater than I had anticipated. No single Marauder could have hoped to fend off such numbers.
Pray accept my apologies. Nedard, you turned to us for help, and yet your grandson now lies before you, broken and battered.
You risk your lives to save little Sidhart. I was a man to find fault with that. It's me who ought to be begging for forgiveness for the wounds you took protecting the foolish boy. You need concern yourself with our well-being. Our training prepares us for such eventualities. There is not more we can accept here, Elio. It's time we return to the guild and focus on our other tasks.
I wonder if Eorzean IRS is a thing, or specifically City States IRS. That's a good question. I'm thinking about what we know. We know there are people who check the ledgers in Ul'dah. I mean, most taxation that we know of, though, is rooted in, like, sales tax in, you know, like, coming through port side tax, rather than, like, there isn't really income tax that we know of. And so I don't know you would have to, because the taxes themselves are collected upon ports of entry, Aetherite usage. And so I don't know you'd need to do anything where you need to check the books in that specific situation. But you would also want to be able to check the ledgers. You'd want to have someone to be able to check the ledgers of groups like the East Aldernar Trading Company. Very tough. Just curious if there was anything of interest there. Also, I did it again. I've just bypassed the Aetherites. Marauders. And then we'll turn this in, and then we'll go ahead and get the MSQ started. My brain. Come on, work today. Now the Ascians on a tax evasion. Somehow I'm not sure that would stick. Especially when you can't keep them locked up. They can switch bodies. Yeah. Numerous reasons other than the obvious one that might be a struggle.
I am glad the lab will live, but I fear this will be not last time Sidhart abandons caution in his thirst for vengeance against Kuchita. The wound in his heart festers and seethes, venting his impatience at our seeming inaction. But we must not think ill of the boy. Instead, his helpless rage be at a spur to our efforts. I say again, Elio, Kuchita will fall by our hand. I will shape you into a deadly weapon you need to be.
Ooh, yay. Oh, no options, okay. Oh, hey, wait, armor that's not poofy as all hell. Okay, still look like a clown. But it's an improvement. I'm not sure you understand just how unusual it is for Admiral to invite an adventurer to a state banquet. It is a highly coveted honor. Why, even the officers under her direct command are rarely afforded such recognition. But I will not deny you. You have earned it. Many of the tasks you have performed in service to the Thalocracy have been both difficult and dangerous. This is a reward for all your efforts, a nod to your many achievements, both large and small. Has the enormity of this moment yet to sink in? Perchance you will realize its significance when you stand before the assembled dignitaries of Lumsa Lominsa. And now that I have imagined the scene, I realize you will require an attire suitable for the occasion. I suggest you visit the wench and see what Bateron can arrange ye. He is surprisingly knowledgeable about such things. We totally appreciate your diligence. Thank you, Ren. Ascians are crazy enough to take on the Warrior of Light, but the IRS, no way. I agree with that. Have you tried asking Tataru? Yeah, I'm trying to think about Tataru because I know that she monitors her own ledgers, and and the Scion's coffers in general, so I don't know who would be above her. God, I did it again. I didn't even tell. Okay, well, it's fine. It's fine. So I don't know who would be. We don't know anyone on the syndicate who would be looking into it. I wouldn't, and like you. It's not like at the point at which Lolorito is the one checking people's ledgers. It's like him being responsible for checking other people's taxes for his competition is just not good. I don't know of any of the monarchists who would do it. And also the by the time you're out of the Waking Sands and in Mordona with the Rising Stones, you're basically an independent company, so there's no one to be looking over your ledgers at that point. And there's no unified government. The Eorzean Alliance isn't like a governmental body in and of itself.
Well, well, mighty if it weren't Warlab's guest of honor, obnobbing with an eye and mighty now, is it? I'll tell you, lad, I damn near snorted ale out me nose when I heard the news. You've come a long bloody way, you have, and that's the truth. Well, one thing's for sure, you'll not want for decent grub. These banquets are catered by bleedin' Bismarck, no less. 'Tis a grand chance to fill your belly to burstin' with fine ale and more importantly, free food. But we can't have you turn it up in your shit-caked venturing gear. No, Arrow the Hour needs a touch of refinement about him. If only a stop of the folks complaining with it and he stuff his face with cakes. Take yourself over to the Octant and speak to Gymnasium. Oh, the burgeoning consortium. She'll furnish you with some gentlemanly wear. I've already had a word with her, so all you need to do is pick up the goods and then bring them back here so I can tell you what's what. Actually, where is the consortium? Is it, like, directly down? No. Well, it is. Okay, well, fuck it. At this point, I'm on my way to the Aetherite. Do you think the white mages use Asuna to brush their teeth like mouthwash? No, because Asuna is about clearing, like, etheric and, like, irregularities rather than, like, technically, yes, poison is an affliction of the body, right? It's not an affliction just of the aether. But I would... Could you use Asuna to clean your teeth? I don't tend to think so. By nature of how it functions. You know what? Let's also pull up. You know what? Let's pull up. Give me one quick second. I bet you we can find a relatively decent answer or speculation to that question. No, not Astrologian. No, not Machinist. Not Dark Knight. Come on. There we go. Pulse of Light, Benediction, Holy Asylum, the Elementals. Oh, I'm surprised. Okay, they don't have an entrant and a specific entry here, but I would think that Asuna, part of Asuna, right, is about using cleansing, conjuring magics in order to right someone's aether, and because of that, I don't know that it would. I think philosophically it would go against them because of how conjuring and white magic is treated, and then on top of that, I don't know that the practicality of it makes much sense or would work out that way, but I can't state that for sure. Good evening, sir. I assume you're the undressing gentleman Baderon mentioned. I see he was not exaggerating. I've chosen these especially for your debut in polite society. Fear not, I'm certain you will be absolutely adore them. Am I going straight back up? I am going straight back up, which means I'm just going to teleport to the aft castle. The Arcanist Guild checks cargo, manifests, and limsa. Yes, that was actually originally going to be one of your, it's still in there, but that was also originally the original, like, version of the Arcanist quest was going to be even more about that. Good call, Ren. It's much more based on the pre-industrial notion of tax, I think. Yeah, exactly, yours. By the way, hi, yours. As per the class quest, at least. Yeah, they do check that stuff. But am I wrong? I'm pretty sure they're checking that mostly for contraband and for dangerous items rather than for anything to do with port taxation. I don't recall that specifically. White mage outside every brothel. I joke the Cult of Naldal does a bit of tax work in Uldal, like how the other half deals with the ossuary of death and taxes, the two inevitabilities. I mean, Boral, that's not entirely... That would be worth looking into, because there's not a non-zero chance that the closeness to which the ossuary and the Order of Naldal deals with the syndicate and monetary stuff is such that we know that they take a lot of donations, so maybe they don't deal with taxes, but they do deal with money quite often. Been to see and announce him, have you? Let's out of the box then. There we go, a nice pair of dress shoes for you. A bloke might have had much to say in his name, but so long as he got decent pair of shoes on his feet, there ain't nowhere he can't go. Think of him as a gift from me and all the other folk you done right by along the way. Aye, 'tis a very moving gesture, I know. Just don't go welling up on me, eh? Wouldn't do for Limson's new arrow to turn up in Banquet soaked in his own tears and snot. Any road,
That's your garb. Sorted now. You just need to settle your nerves. Tell me when you're ready and I'll tell you when you're meant to go. Such like a specific thing to be just given a pair of boots. Let's wear the dress shoe. Oh yeah, that's a look. Look at that. Okay, before we get this cutscene, let's catch up on chat. Let me chat. Elio donning the hot couture. Would Scions be tax-exempt organization? It's a question of would they be tax-exempt organization in terms of because of their status as Scions? Maybe. In terms of because of their location and the way in which they function, definitely. Waking Sands, effectively yes, though it's not entirely clear that it's because of the notion of how they function, at least as far as I can think of based off every piece of dialogue I remember. And in terms of once they're in the Rising Stones, yeah, they're basically, Mordona is a neutral ground anyways. If you had to live in any of the 3 major city-states, which would you pick and why? I'd get mugged in Limsa. There's a good chance that I would be financially broke in Ul'dah, and in Gridania, there's a non-0% chance that I would be killed by an elemental or kicked out by the xenophobic culture. I mean, this isn't to not answer your question, I'd pick Sharlayan. But to answer your question, especially because of climate, not Ul'dah, I probably would have to go with Limsa, just based off of, like, personal druthers. Though there are a lot of reasons I do like Ul'dah. The only taxes I've noticed is at the market board. Yes, but there's also a good chance that those taxes go directly towards the function of the city and other facets of it as well. Callius, please analyze the taxes of the world. I want economics. Red mages and rogues definitely don't pay taxes. Fair. They aren't exempt, they just refuse. I mean, like, Zhrun is always running around to the point where, like, who would even be charging him taxes? I mean, to be fair, Zhrun probably does pay taxes when he buys things. Like, when he bought the red mage gear for you and Arya, like, he definitely paid, like sales tax in doing them. Probably not right since it's not a dress, but just bacteria buildup. Yeah, disease, but bacteria. Yeah, Brotherhood. Hi, Brotherhood, by the way. Yeah, that was exactly what I was getting at. Could clear gingivitis, but not necessarily cleaning. Yeah, that's a good question. Does it cure all form manner of disease? I would suspect that Asuna, I can't check that on this character, but Asuna, the things it cures needs to be also partially related to etheric imbalances, and what it does is Asuna writes your aether, and then your body is able to deal with the rest. That's speculation for now. I will look into that. It sounds like something I wouldn't mind digging into. Cal, see what I can find. Please do, Boreal. Ren, page 130, EE1 are tax assessors. Arcanist, that is. Okay, cool. Thank you, Ren. This is why it's always good to couch in speculation first. You're ready then, are you? Good. The banquet will be starting soon, and if you waited any longer, I've considered it me civic duty if ye do ye over the head or drag you there. Now make sure you're wearing the them fancy shoes when you turn up, all right? Carrying them won't do no good. They're meant to make you look like a gentleman. Remember, not a gentleman's bleeding lackey. As for directions, the feast's been held on the bridge in the Admiral's briefing room. Speak with Xanthal in the bulwark, and I'll show you the way. Just keep the lad high and keep him head held high, lad. And after that, everything you've done for Limsa, you've good reason to be proud. And don't let no neighbor and bugger tell you different. Do I need to go downstairs? I do need to go downstairs, probably, for the lifted, right? Yeah, to get to the... Let's pull up 103 real quick. What page am I on? I am on page 232. Come on, show me the page. 1 of 10. I need to scroll up further. Arcanist, go. A form of arcane art users using esoteric calculations. Arcanium was developed originally by the people of the South Sea Isles, specifically Lalfell, after discovering a means of expressing natural phenomena. Okay, that's not fair. It may not necessarily be exclusively Lalafell who discovered Arcanium, but we know that the South Sea Isles are the native home to the Plainsfolk Lalafell, and that the majority of the population there is Lalafell. So technically that may not be correct, but almost certainly it is. After discovering means of expressing natural phenomena in mathematical terms, they refined formula into arcane geometries, precise patterns that allowed the practitioner to weave aether into specific magical effects. This in turn bore the school of Arcanium. When Arcanists crossed the ocean to Limsa Laminsa, they were warmly greeted as lettered men. Of particular note is Ikuku, who came to the maritime state roughly 500 years ago and quickly rose to the position of advisor to Admiral Maelvan. The Arcanist was instrumental in establishing Maelvan's gate, and his brethren continued to serve as assessors by tradition. Though the older generation endeavored to train young hopefuls at the gate, the informal relationship of mentor and pupil meant much knowledge was subject to loss. Thus, by order of concerned Admiral Whirlwind, the Arcanists expanded their research facilities and formally established a guild so that they might grow with the passing of generations. Guildmaster, we must all come to Guildmaster Gulwitzwin. We all come to accept our limitations, lest our ambitions lead us astray. However, we must not lose sight of our strength and process. Guildmaster Kurtia is roaming spirit. The other thing we gain responsibility. She is a rare person, having been excellent knowledge and art for a great. Do you? I didn't see anything about taxation there. The only thing I saw was. I only see assessors. That's the only thing I see there. So let me know if you could just like copy paste the line. I might be missing something. Okay, let's do this cutscene first.
Oh, now those are some fancy dress shoes. Come here, adventurer. I will show you to the briefing room.
Hey, JT! Did I miss anyone else? I said hi to everyone else, I believe. Good. Wait, Gridania is xenophobic? It's demonstration versus outsiders, right? The species don't matter to them, or does it? A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. They do treat beast tribes pretty poorly. Especially the Ixali, which is partly the Ixali's fault, but also Gridania does not help the situation. They also treat, yeah. And also, xenophobia does not just have to be different species. It can also be from those who are outsiders.
Brothers and sisters of the sea.
You know, it's also funny to me, the Merlib in ARR.
This man for his services to our great nation.
Doesn't sound that different to Merlib post to me.
Him on his journey, till sea swallows all.
Yeah, knockout. Yeah, exactly.
These pirates you encountered with the tattooed faces, they call themselves the Serpent Reavers. Their ranks are formed of cutthroats and madmen who have pledged themselves body and soul.
Oh, good, Jay. Thanks for popping in.
From what we have gathered, they sought to swell their numbers.
Always glad when you make it when you can. That's all you can do.
To cross their path. I need not tell you the depth of the animosity between us and the Sahagin. How any seaman worth his salt could devote himself to the fishback's god is a question for a more temperate mind than mine. But, thanks to you, our citizens may once more go about their daily lives, safe in the knowledge that they will not be dragged into the darkness by those execrable curs.
Such an extraordinary glow.
That's what she said?
This is one of the crystals of light.
By the Navigator.
After our encounter with the Gubu, you had a vision, did you not? Of a towering crystal.
I'm gonna have so much to catch on after these voice
bathed in
cutscenes.
her light.
Y'all going crazy.
Yashtola's conclusion is clear, and I see no reason to doubt it. You are the vessel of a higher power. This being from your vision was the Mother Crystal. Your description matches what little we know of her. And if she has chosen you, then your deeds may yet shape the fate of nations, as once did the deeds of the Warriors of Light. Know you the tale? Like you, they were not of these lands, yet they fought to protect us all against the corruption of the primals. When the Gallian Empire began its conquest of the realm, these heroes joined the Grand Companies and helped reforge the Eorzean alliance. And at the Battle of Carteneau, they took the field beneath our banners to fight for everything we hold dear. It was on that day, in the midst of that hell, that we lost them. Every soul who survived that battle will never forget how it was to fight beside them. We are proud to call them our comrades. Yet whenever we try to shout their names, the sound dies in our throats. And whenever we strain to see their faces with our mind's eye, naught but their shadows appear to us, set against a blinding light. Ask any true Eorzean who knew them, and the story will be the same. It is for this reason that we call them the Warriors of Light.
I hadn't picked that up from when you said that earlier.
When I look upon you, I cannot help but be reminded of them. Keep that crystal safe. In time, I believe the Mother Crystal will make clear her reasons for bestowing it upon you. Heed well her words, adventurer, for it is Hydaelyn herself who speaks.
Oh shit. Echo time. Oh right, I'm not gonna have to do Rabban. I started in Limsa. Sweet. The Battle of Carteneau. I know she just said Carteneau. I know that the correct pronunciation is probably Carteneau. Carteneau's fine. If you can do one thing for me, people, don't give other people shit for mispronunciations. Just say it the way you say it, if you think it's right, and if it's like egregious enough that it's a problem, yeah, just.
Victory belongs to the bold.
We all love the game.
Imperial whore sons, what we're made of.
The left flank buckles. Divert the barracudas. Bid them hold that position, though it costs them their lives.
The yellow serpents are in need of succor. Pray, send the white wolves to their aid.
It's so
The
stiff.
adventurers risk life and limb for our cause. We must not fail them.
Oh, hey, it's La Habrea. You can tell because the scorpion.
Is aught amiss?
No, it is nothing.
No, it is nothing. Versus no, or no, it is nothing. He's like so stiff.
Forward.
And I don't know if it's stiff because they were trying to match lip flaps or something, and they had to do deliveries and such, or bad direction, or what happened. But it's
We are
just very
being
monotone.
watched.
Raging bull, calling Bloodthorn. Bloodthorn, respond. Respond, damn you. Ah!
Indeed. Snake? Snake!
Rider, this is Raging Bull. What news?
We're surrounded by a blaze. There is no way out. God preserve, what is that thing?
What's
I
going
feel
on?
like Bahamut would be
Speak
so
to me.
big regardless of where they were, they would have seen him.
God damn it! We cannot hold much longer.
Oh man, that moment's too serious to be that funny. That's sad.
Damn it! Damn it all to the seventh hell!
What of the barracudas? Can they not be reached?
Sorry, Admiral. Shell's not working.
What of our own?
I cannot say, my lady. That monstrosity appears to be disrupting.
Okay, so
our
they can't see it.
communications.
We must keep trying. Call till they respond.
Yes, my lady.
Admiral, General, we can do no more. We must give the order to withdraw.
Want to see something you can't ever unsee? Look at her necklace. It looks like an upside-down unicorn.
Will not forsake
Like a little
Louis
snout
Swamp.
at the top, white parts of the head with 2 dots for eyes. Just like a little red thing.
Please. Victory may be
Little red thing's the horn.
bold, but there will be no victor this day. You know this to be true. Let us not sacrifice lives in vain. The adventurers fight bravely, but to no avail. Let them withdraw, and let us be the ones to stand with Louis Soir.
Belay previous orders. All Maelstrom units are commanded to fall back, effective immediately. Give the foreign levy priority. Let the main host cover their retreat and bring up the rear.
And this is where her short story begins. Literally, with these lines are like some of the very first part.
Relay the order. All flames are to withdraw. I don't care if our link cells are useless. You still have a working pair of legs, don't you? Well, use them, you bloody half-wit.
The other interesting thing this cutscene tells us is that the assault from Bahamut, what we see in the trailer is not necessarily hyper-representational of what we get ultimately. There is a period of time in which
The
Bahamut is
outcome of this
assaulting.
battle was long since decided.
It didn't all just happen in a
Better to
couple
retreat
minutes.
now than risk a massacre. This dark, stifling presence. Who or what? We go to take our place beside Archon Louis Soir. To your positions.
And here's a dropped element. The Asian tongue. And yet, nothing he said there conflicts. Okay. Even when the cutscene continues, I'm going to pause it real quick. Let's catch up on what you all said. As what made you don't brush your teeth when they fall out, put them gear back in. Don't know how much that would work, but I think that would work to an extent. Brotherhood, if I recall, they hate Duskwood elves and mooncats. Often will justify by saying the elementals do not like them. They do that. They also, part of the problem is that the Dusk Whites are, because they still reside underground and apart from Gridania, they aren't part and parcel to the protection of the elementals and have ways to keep the elementals off. And because they're willing to do things like hunt creatures without asking the elementals' permission, that puts them in odds with the elementals, which puts them in fundamentally at odds with Gridania, which causes a bunch of friction between the two. It's the same issue with poaching and Keepers of the Moon. But me and Niniri just recorded our lore talk on the early history of Gridania, so there will be a video on that shortly. Hello, just resaw your Blade of Verdun vid, really top notch. Thanks, JT, I really appreciate that. Look under the Melvin's Gate entry. Thanks, I will get to that. I don't really remember the Dusk Elf lore from the archives, but wasn't the Mooncats only because of their culture or overhunting? It's part of that. Yeah, but brother, it's not like. That is the reason, but they're still racist. They're like xenophobic towards them, regardless if it was just for that singular reason. And there are other more complicated reasons as well, but a big part of it is that. Started as an archer in here, well, page 101. Sorry, can't make it today either. Let's skip forwards. Snake! Can't help but laugh at some of these lines. The delivery, yeah, voice actors incompetent. Voice director is so competent. I would be loath. We don't know the situation around a lot of that stuff. I don't want to say it's just the voice director. I don't want to say it's just the voice actor. I don't want to say it's any one thing. Because, like, for instance, there could be budgetary constraints. There could be a lot of different issues. I think you can have a lot of competent people, but you put certain timeline restrictions under that. And we can agree the final product is not good. I will stand by that. I will argue that for days. But I don't think it's fair to cast aspersions without having specific knowledge. Chris Mead, finally off work. I hope I haven't missed too much. Nope, you have not. We are just getting into it. Glad to have you here. Jay, I totally agree. I forgot about that. Is the original, Ascians. Oh, the Organization 13. I just got reminded of a magical punishment that seems appropriate. Breaking your hands. It's magical because a dragon does it. Yeah. Morning, Sunshine. Morning, Sunshine. How you doing? What happened there? Forgot to decrease this speed. You keeled over in the middle of the banquet and caused right stir. I had to carry you back to the wench myself. Well, I'll say carry. 'Tis more a dragging and rolling too much cake, I reckon. Anyway, don't fret. 'Tis little wonder you was exhausted after everything you've been through lately. If it's Lalafell, you could probably just carry it. Rolling a Rogan makes sense, though. Your little nap seems to have put color back in your cheeks. Though, so I'll leave you to it. Bugger, I almost forgot. The Admiral wants to have a word with you. When you feel up to it, talk to Zethel, and it'll let you into the command room. Oh, and stay awake, eh? I told old Merwib I was in the middle of telling you a story when you started snoring last time, and I doubt she'd look kindly on it if you repeated the trick. This cutscene is completely different if you're a female. Ooh, do tell. What's different about it? Jay the photographer will be back tomorrow. Is harder because you start at 4 a.m. Yeah. Well, that's the difficulty, right? Is no matter what we do, someone's losing out. I feel for you, Jay. Like, this is another thing, too. There's no reason not to just have an elevator in the wench that allows you to go up to the... Like, I know that part of these restrictions are design elements that were... Oh, I don't know why I went there. That are a byproduct of designing in the PS3 area when it was A Realm Reborn. And so, like, it's understandable. But at the same time, there's a lot... I think a lot of things would... quality of life things like that would do a lot. Greetings, Elio. Admiral Bluefuswen awaits you in the command room. Shall I announce you? He doesn't come into the room. It takes place in the main room. Interesting. In the inn, there's a lot of small LFL doors on the sides. Are they used for something? Well, we'll go to the Drowning Winch in a second, and we'll check on that. Ah, Elio, it's good to see you on your feet again. You're recovered? Then let us waste no time. I have tasks that needs doing. One I would entrust you to trust to no other. The duty I have in mind for you requires some explanation. I do hope you have not made other plans to business. To business, then. If I missed some of this due to work or so, I watched the replay at the moment. This time works for me. Awesome, D. I'm glad. Also, I will be periodically, about a week after every episode comes out, I will be unlisting them. They will go into the playlist. There's a playlist for the MSQ replay. It will be on the front page, or just go into our playlist section, and you can watch them there if you ever want to. But this is to avoid cluttering up, because there's going to be 3 episodes a week, and just having that all on the front page becomes a lot. Yeah. I have penned a letter to each of my counterparts in the Eorzean Alliance. The Battle of Carteneau and the calamity that has followed claimed countless lives. It has been 5 years since those of us who were spared dragged ourselves from the ashes to look upon a Eorzean we scarcely knew. 5 years, and yet the people still suffer. Their lives are fraught with worry and hardship, and the warriors of light who might once have given them hope are gone. Yet we must press on regardless. We will never truly do so, however, till we have faced our past. To that end, I am proposing a memorial service be held in each of the city-states on the 5th anniversary of the Battle of Carteneau. These letters contain the details of said proposal. Hey, we're getting out of Limsa, baby! And I would have you deliver them to our allies as my personal envoy. You have proven yourself a staunch and able ally to Limsa, but that is not the only reason for your choosing. No, I choose you because you possess a quality which puts in mind of history's champions, a quality I feared I lost. Say that you will perform this duty. I knew you would not disappoint me. The task shall take you far from the borders of our nation, to the city-states of Gridania and Ul'dah. A grueling journey, to be sure, were you to travel by sea and land, but I mean to have you take to the skies. An airship pass, to be used at your discretion. Airships bound for the nations of our allies leave from the landing connected to the bridge. But before you depart, I suggest you trouble Bateron for a few pearls of wisdom regarding each of your destinations. The old bastard is nothing if not well traveled. 'Tis a pity I cannot issue such passage with free hand, as I did in more peaceful times, when births were not so limited. But in these times of war, every craft we commit to the clouds risks drawing the eyes of the Empire, and every voyage must needs be born of necessity. Lest you doubt, I consider your place well deserved. Nor am I alone in that opinion. There were other parties who would see you granted the privilege of air travel. Aye, Elio, your deeds do not go unnoticed. Full many see great promise in you, but I have flattered you enough. On behalf of Limsa Lominsa and her peoples, I bid you go forth, adventurer. Discover the realm for which so many have fought and died. Wonder and danger await you in equal measure, but turn not from either. Only by braving the unknown will you achieve the greatness of which you are surely capable. The light of the crystal guides you, and I wager that your destiny will be no small thing. And there's no rolling you back to your room. Yeah, that seems fair. Do you have a miss? Okay, I remember walking about. Yep. I love the playlist option on YouTube. Awesome. Anyway, Jay must sleep. Good night, Jay. We'll do... we do not have a choice, but sure. Do you guys want to know the best city for airships? It's Sydney. Ray Banham. Everyone talks about how the Scions have grown as characters throughout the expansions, but not many people talk about the leaders. They grow a lot between AR and Walker. Yeah, they all have phenomenal, Merlwyb, Raubon, and Nanamo have phenomenal arcs. Connie Senna has not had enough time. She got a lot to do in her most recent role quest, which was nice, but Connie Senna has never gotten her due so far in the game. I was just having a conversation with a friend about that. Right, I'm going to Bateron. I like you, Tez. God damn it, Issa. Don't encourage them. Sorry, Ban Overrider, we're entering the pungeon. Bag was doing the entirety of the Evil East raids for the Shadowbringer relic. Nice, good. Glad to have you, Adler. Atelier. There was mention of Lalafell doors. I do not see them. That door is just a wine rack. Yeah, I do not see any around here, so I'm not sure. Connie who? The joke was Ironworks class. Beautiful Dragonstar. Also, hi Dragonstar. My bad, I checked the unending journey and the Limsa cutscene is the same, even the rolling. I must have been thinking of the same quest in one of the other cities. All good. Good to know. They each got an arc, honestly. Connie Sally only gets the full character arc, Limelight, and the role quest. And that's the thing, is that the others get a arc too, and the thing is the role quest isn't voiced. So as much as she does get a character arc, and it's an internal character arc, it's more about her. it is about her as a leader because she's dealing with the lack of faith of the people it is her as leader, but it's so contained. And so there's a difference to me than the depth we get with Merlweb, especially over the course of the narrative and on to something like 5.4. And then I mean, I scarcely need to explain Raban and Nanamo. Inside the inn, the personal room, wrong floor, I think. Dude, you have hated my class submission. They made us use web-based recording solution that had 0 volume control for audio input. Ugh. I have a question. Does extreme heat or cold not affect Pagel? They don't seem to be bothered by it. They probably feel it less and have more ability to maintain and regulate their bodies, but that's speculation. So you're saying, well, so okay, so not the inn. You're saying the floor below has Lalafell doors? Inside the inn, the personal room. Okay. Let's go up there real quick. Let's check on that. That's basically a heating stove. Those are either, okay, no, so there's multiple of them, so that's, so, well, that still, it has the typical architecture of like an internal heating stove for buildings that are cold, but it also is probably just storage, especially the fact that it's elevated like that. It's either storage like this, or it's a, it's used for, especially because this room is made of stone, it would get very, very cold if you were living in it, especially at night, so I can imagine this also may be potentially a unit for heating the room. Weird question. If you had to choose a playable Beast Tribe race, what would it be and why? Can I take a Mimi answer and say the dwarves? No. Okay, let's think. You got the Ixal, you got the Sylph, you got the Sahagin, you got the Ixal, Sylph, Sahagin, Amalja, and Kobolds. Not particularly huge fan of any of them. I like them all, but Vanu, Nath, and Moogles. I'd like to play as a Moogle. You then have Kojin, Namazu. Be funny to play as a Namazu. And the Ananta. And then you have the fairies, the Kakern. I mean, they're not Kakern in the first, but the Kakern. And the dwarves. I think it would be pretty humorous to be able to play as a Moogle or a Namazu, but if I had to pick one, I might pick Kojin. Back from your meeting with an admiral, are you? Yeah, it was a good time. Personal blade and envoy! See, I'll be carrying the word of the old admiral herself to the leaders of the Alliance. Bugger me, I knew you was going up to the world, but I didn't realize you got that bloody eye. I'm proud of you, lad. Think of how far you come. Why 'tis enough to bring a tear to me eye, and that ain't ale talking. Neither will just, well, neither. Well, not just the ale, at any rate. Bless the navigator for your steering my way. Of course, this is only the start. Now you've got your hands on an airship pass, and the old of Eorzean laid before you, like a fair maid on a feather bed. And she's a big girl too, with plenty of enticing nooks and crannies. Jesus Christ, Patron. If you think us Laminson's characters, just wait till you cross paths with grim forest dwellers of Gridania, or trade coin with the crafty merchants of Ul'dah. And there's the wild places where the beasties rule, and no bugger with an ounce of sense sets foot. But you're a venturing, so I wouldn't let a little thing like that hold you back. Of course, it ain't all exploring and excitement. There are heaps of trouble with what plagues every nation. See, tain't just ours, I'm talking intrigue and infighting, beastmen and gods damn primal. Aye, there's an ugly side to life, and sooner or later you're bound to walk into it. But I'll wager there's bugger out there that you can't handle. Something tells me you're gonna be just fine. The realm's ad rough, 'tis true, but folk beginning to recover from the beating. The beating the calamity dealt them. Call me an hopeless optimist, but it wouldn't take much to turn things around. 'Tis the perfect time for a venturer like yourself to get out there and make a difference. Well, what are you waiting for? What are people saying? Vanu, I want to do all the Trials and Dungeons raid just by Sundrop dancing. I'm going to be a pixie. I need to be a pixie. I just meme all day and be all kinds of extra. Serene, you already do that. But, like, fair. Pixies all the way. Man, I was not expecting all this pixie love. I could never find the Moogle tribe location. Then again, I've always struggled with the Moogle maps. It's in the Sea of Clouds. It's, I don't actually just begin in the Sea of Clouds. I'm pretty sure it does, but it's or not the Sea of Clouds, the Churning Mists. And there's the locale in the center of the map that you're basically restoring as a thing, which I love the restoration maps. Sea of Serene, where Kingders. They're that bird-winged race people of Evilis, but I would imagine their wings would be murder on them. Do you mean the Tengu from Othard? Would be cool to see them as a playable race. Pixie Cult Unite, but their name escapes me at the moment. The bird-winged people. I think you're meaning the Tengu. I'm not sure. ODs, the Moogle Beast tribes are locked behind a very lengthy quest chain, Churning Mists. Imagine the pixies from Fairly Odd Parents, Betaron, Best Brother, and then you have to pick up one, okay, you're helping that. Petition to rename the Bard Guild of Gridania to Gridanian Records, and have them copyright strike people for playing music. Pixies are strange, flying around, doing tricks, wanting to get rid of, borders, painting one wing red, calling you buddy. We are all secret or not so secret trolls, Elio. What did you expect? Pixies are the obvious choice. God's damn it. Oh, okay, I gotta go downstairs. Oh, no, I can just go straight to airship. So why can't I go straight to that? Whatever. It's not a problem. Good evening, sir. This is the counter for passage travel into Gridania. Wait, aren't you that famous adventurer? It's Elio Forgeron, isn't it? I thought I recognized you. You're an inspiration to us all, sir. Highwind Skyways is at your disposal. Will you be traveling with us today? Proceed to the landing area. Let me narrate. Proceed to the landing area. Let's get flying. I always love this cutscene, regardless of where you start. Although I think it's much better in Ul'dan Limsa than Gridania, because you have the height to like make it like a really like going out thing. Hi all. Hey Tracy, glad to have you. Bum ba-da-dum bum. I'd like to be an Ixal for no other reason than I love the Black Shroud. Well, what you could be a Sylph then? Because technically the Ixali aren't in the Black Shroud, they're in Zelphatal, and they invade periodically into the Shroud. They were kicked out of the Shroud by the Elementals. In some ways, the Ixali currently hate the Shroud. His shoulders just like, I mean, like one wave, I'm out. I also will always love seeing shots of, good fortune to you, Elio. I'll always love shots of like Raban with an Animo on his shoulder, which you get to see for this. The day will come when your name means the same as Aero to the folks of this realm. May you walk in the light of the crystal. I wish the airships in this game were as big as the ones in Final Fantasy XII. Love traveling to different locations while hanging around inside the interior. I do too. I mean, to be fair, they are in Garlemald. They're just not... Oh, so fun fact. Notice that this is 30 frames per second and looks like garbage. It's because this is a pre-rendered cutscene because they're about to show footage from the 1.0 trailer. And I think the only way they could make sure that it consistently ran without issue was to treat this cutscene as... the entire cutscene as a pre-render. During the PlayStation 3 area. When I think they had to be worried about performance. I think that's why this happened. Would being a Sylph make you a Cabbage Patch Kid? Yeah? I think so. See, this is 1.0. Like, the Agrius is huge. And, like, a lot of the other classes are, like, the size of... Balthier's shield. For those of you who have played Mist of the Realm, notice that Midgard Summer flies in from the cloud cover above Silver Tier. That's worthy of note. And now back to the normal render. In engine, I guess, not render. God, especially with the voice acting. Discount Darth Vader. You're so much more interesting than this guy is.
Twisted beyond all reckoning, rotten nigh to the core. Yet it must be saved. Only Garlean rule can bring order to Eorzea. It falls to us to deliver the misguided masses from their ignorance. We are of one mind, Lord Van Balthar.
The problem too is like it's shown here as like Quintus or worse, whereas like the depiction of him even further into ARR and onward especially is just so much, has more nuance to it in an interesting way. I'd like. Well, the IRS might be a problem there, but at least the TSA is quick. Des.
Is the legatus really planning to take another tilt at Eorzea?
Hey? What hole have you been hiding in? We're in the midst of preparing for a new campaign, and a huge one at that.
But I thought the Emperor had given up the Western lands for lost after Carteneau. What could the legatus possibly hope to gain by acting alone?
This is important. Notice that Gaius is basically going a little bit rogue.
Of the legatus's plan.
Oh, hey, look, it's Sid's boyfriend.
My lord!
Please, call me near. Tell me, where were you born?
Othard, my lord.
The way he pronounces Othar just that. It's interesting that he's a Midlander and from Alamigo. You'd think that it would have reversed with him being the Highlander.
I presume.
Hummingway.
I don't know what you...
Silence. Your denials will not change your fate. I assure you, Frumentarian sees all. Clean up this mess, and do not miss any, or I shall be most displeased.
At once, my lord.
Garland, soon you will be made to know the true power of Magitech.
Okay, what's everyone saying? I'd like to be Chocobo, just chill, eat greens, and queh. Yeah. Self-star cabbage with wings, change my mind. I mean, I can't. That's not entirely inaccurate. Sentient cabbage with wings. If y'all don't stop making fun of Shroud Resonance, I'll tell the Conjurers Guild to stop assuming. That is the reason for the thing in the center. He needs somewhere to wrap himself up. Yida describes them as flying gushel greens. So you think their realm has been there all the time. I don't know which question to who, Tracy. Fun fact, the soldiers here who responded. Oh, yes, midst of the realm. Yeah, we know the realm has been there all this time. We know it's been there all this time. It's been there on to at least the Sundering. Fun fact, the soldier here who responds, he's from Othard in the French dub. He specifically says he hails from Dalmasca. Huh. That's interesting that they bothered with that specification there, but not here. He just needs a good at the end of, yeah. I founded the Agile race from Evil's, Revenant Wings, not the Tengu Nothard. Okay. I didn't realize you were talking about Revenant Wings, not about 14 AC. You mean Sid's waifu? Yes, best ship. When we learn Swift and Tough, the Empire. So since he says Dalmasca, that means they most likely had plans to add Evil's the whole time. That makes me happy. Yeah, there have been references to that long... Yeah, there had been references for that for forever. That had been their plan for a long, long time. Why is it that both Sid and Nero look like Jeff Bridges in different states of his career? I see it. That's what I was thinking. I don't know if that's specific, were there from the beginning, or if it was a small detail they added later after Stormblood. Probably not, because the localizations happened those localizations happened damn near parallel. You must be the envoy. What accent should I use for Gridania? I'll just use normal. You must be the envoy for Limsa Laminsa. Welcome to Gridania, sir. The Elder Seer awaits your arrival. How big is the Garlean Empire really, is what we've seen of it so far, all of it. Do you mean Garlemald? Garlemald's the capital. In terms of the Garlean Empire, effectively at the time of A Realm Reborn, the Garlean Empire spans all of Ilsabard. So you've got Worlit's taken over, Nalmask is taken over, Landis is taken over, Corvos is effectively taken over, Boja is under complete occupation, Dalmasca is, and pretty much all of, we know all of Dalmasca Superior is taken over. So like Rabernaster has probably been bombed around a little bit after this probably, but Dalmasca Inferior, it's not quite clear. It's kind of so wild that like Nangxia and Nangxia's probably been conquered. The Golmor jungle's the Gormal jungle, and like the Skade mountain range is such that like it doesn't seem like they fucked with the Viera. We know that they took over Doma. Doma is Hingashi's neutral. They didn't fuck with the steppe. So literally it's most of Ilsabard and Othard, and then you also have currently the annexation of Girabania. So with that in mind, that's what makes up the Garlean Empire at this point. Nero never seems to get a personal Magitech machine in his red and gold colors, perhaps due to his giant hammer. You can buy one. I don't know if it's a premium mount, but there is a Maggie with his colors. Explains why Nero's so salty. The Othard engineer could have been a spy undercover and just said he hailed from Othard when he's really from Dalmasca. Well, but Dalmasca is in Othard, so both things are. It holds true. It could be what could have happened is like Othard in French could have been too short or in its pronunciation to match the lip flaps, and they're like on the spur of the moment they're like, oh, we can put it here, or like there's a bunch of reasons that they could have changed it. Maybe that just how the sentence structure sounded, stuff like that happens all the time. Greetings, sir. Greetings, good sir. You are the Laminsan envoy, are you not? I received instructions to assist you. Pray, make your way to the city proper and identify yourself to the conjurer at Nafika's altar. She'll admit you to the Lotus stand where the Elder Seer awaits. I'm disappointed that they are called Gridanians and not British. I can't help you there. Can't wait till those clouds in the game map are finally part way to show the entirety of Elsabard. Me fucking too. If I have one disappointment with Endwalker, it is that. I'm sure I have other small disappointments with Endwalker for other things that are in that vein, but that is literally like the one thing I'm like, you couldn't remove the cloud cover? We already know where Worlit and Boja is. Like, could you just show us where like Nalmask and the Central Mountain Range and Landis are? And if there's anywhere else, like we know Corvos is here. We know Nalmask is south of Garlemald, so it's somewhere in here. We know the Central Mountain Range is somewhere roughly here. And that means that Landis probably is up here, but also Landis could be here between Worlit and Corvos. Like, there's a couple other places, but I just don't know what they're waiting for. I know what they're waiting for so that they don't have to define it now in case they have new ideas that they want to do later. But at the same time, ugh. I used to think that the Guardian Empire was bigger. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot. I mean, yeah, it's literally half the world. But I thought it was like the rest of the world. Yeah, no, they didn't. They weren't fucking with the New World as far as we know, and they weren't fucking with Marauder as far as we know. Especially because the amount it would take to deal with the campaign trying to take over those lands would be so much greater than dealing with Eorzea that they had to have any people who's on the 3 great continents. If you want to start trying to take over Marauder of the New World, you need to have a foothold in the 3 great continents first. Like, just realistically, if you want to have a fighting chance. Because also the idea, one, you need a launching point, which means you need to either control Oathard or Eorzea, because you need to either be able to sail west from Eorzea or east from Oathard in order to get to the New World. And you need to probably have Thavner as a launching point. You don't necessarily have to. You could launch from Corvos or from Dalmasca. So in theory, they could have launched things to Marauder, but the amount of resources that would take when they're still dealing with all the trying to control the rest of the world around them is such that I doubt that they were. There may have been like excursionary groups, or maybe a legati was sent to Marauder or the New World, but I doubt a lot of effort was put into that. Especially with the fact that Varys bothered to rescind their assault on Eorzea. Nero just isn't an ace pilot enough for a custom red mecha. It wasn't rooted in anything that made sense. It was just headcanon. Yeah, but no, but that's understandable. I mean, like, it's a wide world. You don't necessarily know what amounts to what. So, yeah, that's fair knockout. Does the cutscene with Nero implied that he had training as a spy with the Frumen Trolley? Isn't that the name of his device? Or his... What is it? What is that a reference to, actually? I don't think that's a reference to spying, but I don't actually know offhand the exact reference it is. Did Nero ever throw a fit that Livia got the white and gold mecha to match her armor? Though Nero says what Livia is about, she gets what she wants. I mean, it's possible that Nero does have a mecha for him. We just don't see him use it because we don't see him out and about needing it. Latest Koji troll to come. The clouds part to reveal there's no land there, just more clouds behind the clouds. You're the Elements and Envoy. Begging your pardon, sir, but might I inspect the missive you bear? Verily, this is the seal of the Admiral of Limsa Laminsa. Please come with me. They're probably having ideas for future expansions to further explore it. I do hope that's the case because, yeah, it seems weird that they didn't show the map despite us going to Garlemald. Yeah, it's because they don't want to define it because they kind of might want to play with it yet. I would actually think that it's possible.
Much to you and yours.
Because an expansion
I bid you welcome.
Because an expansion doesn't necessarily make a huge amount of sense, I would say that unless Corvos is a map for 7.0, I would say what's possible is that the cloud cover could be rescinded within the patch 6.x patch content. Not likely to, but I think could.
Please.
Oh, hey, yeah, there's the unicorn. Look at her necklace if you want to see an upside-down unicorn head.
Allow me to introduce myself. I am Khan Senna, Elder Seedseer of Gridania, and leader of the Order of the Twin Adder, our nation's grand company. I understand
also,
you bear a message from the Admiral.
Don't trust any pronunciation from A Realm Reborn. Many of them are changed, Heaven's Word onward. Or, at the very least, use that as an example to show that, hey, guess what? Pronunciations vary. It's okay. It's normal. A remembrance server for the fallen of Carteneau. To think that 5 years has already come and gone. It seems like only yesterday that the Garlean Empire attempted to seize all that we hold dear. Rising in resistance, the city-states of Eorzea formed the Grand Companies and joined hands in alliance. But unbeknownst to us, the Garleans sought not to best us in battle, but moved instead to enact a terrible plot, the Meteor Project, by which the lesser moon Dalamud would be torn down from the heavens to annihilate all life below. In a desperate bid to save the realm from certain destruction, our forces marched for the Carteneau Flats, and there met the 7th Imperial Legion. More bloody a battle I have never seen, and would never wish to see again. Yet the carnage was but a prelude to the atrocities which followed. For despite our best efforts, Dalamud continued its descent, and from it emerged the elder primal Bahamut, who proceeded to rain fire upon Eorzea. The 7th Imperial Legion was consumed in the blinking of an eye, while our own forces fared little better. That any among us were spared defies explanation. All seemed sure to perish. As the flames converged upon us, I prepared myself for death, only for a brilliant light to envelop me, relieving me of my senses. When I at last awoke, Bahamut was gone, and the land which moments before had been aflame now seemed to me a place unknown, not simply ruined, but changed. Archon Louisoix may well have been able to shed light upon these mysteries, but he, like so many, never returned from Carteneau. And so we were left with countless questions, and no prospects of an answer. Yet such matters did not long occupy our thoughts, for we had far graver concerns. The calamity, as the devastation wrought by Bahamut has been come to be known, laid our nations nigh to waste, and to this day we struggle to rebuild our lives and our home. To compound matters, the beast tribes continue to summon their primals, while the Empire encroaches upon our borders, consolidating its foothold in Eorzea. The outlook, in short, is bleak. In the wake am I back? Let me know if I'm back yet. You're back? Cool. I realized that before I started the stream, I forgot to unplug my NAS server that we used to store all the data. And the problem is that the NAS constantly is auto-uploading and draws our upload speed and drastically reduces it. So I had to unplug that, which tends to like cancel out internet for a second. Let's catch up on you guys in the meantime. Also, thank you, Catherine, for pointing it out. Very helpful. Seems to be the case because I have to stream at 480p. Yep. I mean, as a non-native speaker, any pronunciation goes. Same issue with the stream. Like, I'm fine with varying pronunciation. The game makes the world more believable, like how lore books and the Elder Scrolls often contradict each other, giving the unreliable narrator elements. Yeah, and people have different, like, different accents and stuff. It's very, very normal. I see you. You're back on stream. Yes, cool. Sorry about that. Who knows when we'll need the Aetherites again for the story. Oh, no, I can just run back at this. Well, actually, the Aetherite's closer. Did you guys miss me while I was gone? For the, 30 seconds it was? Do you have lore on the Elder Seedseer? Depends on what you want to know. And do you mean, by Elder Seedseer, do you mean the current Elder Seedseer or past Elder Seedseers? Because in terms of, do I have lore on her? Yes. But it's, what do you want to know? Like, her background, her age, her powers? Like, what is it that has you interested? Greetings, sir. This is the counter for passengers traveling to Ul'dah. Oh, are you not Elio Forcheron, the Lominsan Envoy? On behalf of all of Highwind Skyways, may I say what an honor it is to serve you. Will you be flying with us today? This is from assumption based on real-life history. The Frumentari was the Roman Empire collective of spies. Oh, then maybe it was. I thought that was the name of the thing of one of his devices. I thought that's what he named it. But maybe I'm wrong. Gridania when it rains. Everything. There are other places I'd rather be when it rains, but I do fucking love thunderstorms with a mighty passion. Her background. I mean, her background is when she was a young child, she was awoken to her Pagil abilities. Connie Senna really did not, as a child, did not like that she was Pagel and did not want to accept her duties. And she had a close friend who was very accepting of their duties, and was good at being a Pagel. However, certain things happen that I won't say because it deals with the role quests. But she ends up becoming the Elder Seedseer. She is technically, her body effectively is perpetually around 16 years old, or 15, 16 years old, though she takes active efforts to make herself look older. But in terms of like her soul and the time in which she's been alive, she's in her, at this point in the narrative, in her late 20s. Ah, you must be the envoy of Limsa Laminsa. What's a good accent? We've already been doing it. Ah, you must be the... no. I don't, okay, I'm just going to do normal for now until I figure out a good general accent for Ul'dah. You must be the envoy for Limsa Laminsa. Welcome to Ul'dah, sir. The Flame General awaits your arrival. The Flame General awaits your... I could go lower from... Flame General awaits your arrival. Air slant when it rains, it pours. Hulky men and women. Adelier, now you're speaking my language. In the rain, do light and dark. In the rain, do light and... Oh god, now I'm thinking about To the Edge. Welcome to Ul'dah, sir. We've been expecting you. Flame General Raban will receive you in the Fragrant Chamber. Please take the lift down to the Hustings Strips and speak with Bartholomew at the Royal Promenade. They did not appreciate your voice acting. The NPC. Do you need a healer for your upcoming dungeons? Sadly, also, hi, Professor. Sadly, I'm going to be doing the duty support system and trust every chance I'm able. Because I have never used them since they've been released, and part of like doing the stream is I want to be able to test them out, and it's a justification to do so. However, for trials that there is no trust or duty support system, I will be more than willing to have you guys join in with me. So if you have an interest, you can let me know. She looked in her 20s to me. How old are her younger siblings from the White Mage quest? They all look the same. They're all roughly the same. When you're a Pagel, you stop physically aging somewhere between roughly 13 to 16, and you are perpetually that age. She takes active effort to make herself look as old as possible. The Laminsan envoy, I presume. Would it be so good to allow me to inspect the missives you bear, sir? My thanks. It's the Sultana sworn. Ah, yes, the Admiral Seal. Please proceed. We're going to get your job when we get to Endwalker, which will only be like 4 years from now, based on the pace that we're going.
A guest from Limsa.
Limsa Laminsa.
I won't hold it against you. If you're half the warrior Mervib says, 'tis a wonder you don't reek of dead Sahagin. Welcome to the Sultanate of Ul'dah. I am Raban al-Din, General of the Immortal Flames. But you did not come all this way to trade formalities.
You don't know that. Oh, this is what slays me too. Like, they give us voice first, just a second, and then take it away. Carteneau. I remember bloody Carteneau. Do you know what happened that day, adventurer, when we took to the field against the Garleans? So my counterparts have educated you. Yeah, I've been told a thing or two. Connie's pet is giving her trouble, is it? Well, you should already know my mind is on the subject. Wolves are beyond taming. 'Tis but a matter of time before they bare their teeth. So it was with the Garleans 50 years ago. No sooner had they learned how to use Magitech than they began seizing territory from their neighbors. Led by the legatus Solus Osgalvis, they swiftly brought the other nations of Ilsabard to heel. And so the legatus became an emperor, and his republic an empire. An empire which then set its sights upon Eorzea. But conquering the empire is now an old man of 80 winters. Oh, right. So at this point, it's Solus still around. So ergo, he would have been the one to say pull back from Eorzea, and Gaius is more loyal to Varys. I mean, he's loyal to the throne, but he's almost more loyal to Varys than he is Solus. So he may be doing this thinking that it's in the best interest of both the throne, the empire, and Varys' ascendancy. Which is surprising because the Civil War is going to happen, which you think Gaius would have been around to help him for. But the conquering empire is now an old man of fourscore winters. His health is failing and he has no clear successors. Like as not, this is why the Garleans have been quiet of late. It's worth noting, Solus is still the emperor at the beginning of A Realm Reborn. Like, it's easy to forget that. Aye, but the 14th Imperial Legion is still entrenched within our borders, and their commander, Legatus Gaius Van Belsar, has long harbored ambitions of conquest. Were he to strike now, I fear we would fall like so many others before us, and not only Ul'dah, but Gridania and Limsa Lominsa as well. For the calamity brought the lot of us to our knees, and we've yet to get up. We barely have the strength to stand against the beast tribes, never mind the primals they're mean to summon. We are a realm-divided adventurer, an alliance in name only. But the wolf cares not for the plight of its prey. The Garleans stir, and Elder Seedseer would not let it go unnoticed. All other concerns pale in comparison to the Empire, even the beast tribes and their bloody primals. We must stand united once more, that much is clear, and if we're to do so, we must remember the cause with which last brought us together. Merwib will have her memorial. We will honor the memory of the fallen, and we will remind the people what their brothers and sisters fought and died for. I love that Robon character design looks like an important character from an NPC from Finalizing 12 and love it. Yeah, pretty fair. Sarcastically, all to do. Yeah. Sorry, Auroria. I shall inform the Sultana and the Syndicate. I will speak with her grace myself. Very good, sir. The Admiral will have my reply anon, and my thanks to you, adventurer. Does that mean they are immortal then, as their body doesn't deteriorate down age? They are not immortal. Well, they may be, but effectively what we know is that the Pagel, once they get to like roughly around 200-ish, the examples we know of, effectively they meditate into oblivion. So they kind of go into meditate. They basically Obi-Wan Kenobi themselves. Let's just say that when they get a couple hundred years old. There's something that bothers me with ARR and its half-voice cutscenes. Yeah, I feel you, Auroria. I feel so dumb not realizing the whole wolf thing the leaders were referring to Gaius. Yeah. It's easy to miss, and if you don't know, you don't know. I mean, it's not like if you don't know he's, the black wolf, you don't know to look for it. Solus Dos Galvus was a very sassy man when he was alive. He was a lot of things when he was alive. Definitely a drama queen. My Lord Envoy, I trust you stay in the Sultanate has been pleasant. Now, if you don't mind my asking, do you perchance have plans to visit Limsa Lominsa in the near future? If so, I have information that you might find may be of interest to you. I once accompanied the Flame General on an official visit to the seaside city-state, during which time I became acquainted with Baderon, the proprietor of the drowning wench. Well, the man sent word just now that he has a job for a capable adventurer, and can think of none with better credentials than you. Baderon would doubtless be pleased were you to offer him your services. Don't know that guy. Completely unfamiliar. Is that going to take me to Baderon? Yeah, okay, then I can just return. Oh, Hydaelyn was present even all the way back there. Yep. You will be shocked how many things were either set up in advance or NPCs that are around way earlier than you thought. That explains the ghost parry. Padgel? Oh yeah, well, that's also because he's stored like soul and memory within the soul crystal itself. That's the same thing kind of that happens with the Dark Knight quest, and a little bit. This is different because it's not tied to the soul crystal, but a little bit of what's going on during the possession and the Black Mage quest. That's basically an echo of him remains somewhat within the soul crystal itself, as a byproduct of holding on to it for all that time. Apparition? I'm not sure what Brotherhood, which word you're getting at, but I follow the point. Well, welcome to the Drowning Wench. Sit wherever you like, mate. I'll be with you. Well, if it isn't the one only Elio Forgeron. I was told a distinguished... Oh my god, I've lost it already. I was told a distinguished venturer might reporting for duty. Fancying the venturer being you, eh? Just so you're fairly warned, though. This ain't no job for the faint of art. Things are liable to get downright bleeding airy, but if you think you're still interested, let me know and I'll fill you in on the details. I think we're going to Sastasha. Don't forget to introduce... Yep, definitely Professor. I'm going to definitely touch on Avere in both instances. I thank you for taking the time to help me out. Now, I'm sure you're busy, so I'll come straight to the point. Word has it, some suspicious-looking bugger have been sneaking in and out of Sastasha secret, and I need trustworthy sort to head in north of Elport and find out who they are, or what they're up to. Don't sound much, I know. But since that nasty business over on Swiftperch, folk have been making an uneasy Folks have been uneasy. Well, I say a bit. 'Tis all they can do not to soil themselves every time the bloody floorboards creak. If you would permit me, Master Bateron, I would love to elaborate. Well, if it ain't the chiefs of the Yellow Jacket himself, to what do I owe this rare honor, Commodore Rayner? Come to make sure me patrons are behaving, or just thirsty? Neither. In fact, I've come to welcome Elio back to Limsa Liminsa. It is well you have returned. Over the course of the past moon, there have been several sightings of an unfamiliar vessel off the coast of Aelport, in the vicinity of the Isles of Umbra. This information came to my attention no more than a few weeks after a squad of my own soldiers had completed a routine patrol of the region, the Sastasha Seagra included. Their search revealed little, save that a family of Curls had taken up residence in the cave. Nothing to concern us, in short. In light of recent developments, however, it would seem wise to search the Sastasha again. But with Zahagan testing our defenses daily, I am loath to assign the task to the limited forces at my disposal. Our line is stretched as it is. Thus, I sought the service of a competent adventurer to conduct an investigation in our stead. Any aid you can offer in this matter would be greatly appreciated. Then it is settled. Sastasha is located in the western Lenosia. For more detailed instructions on how to reach the place, I suggest you consult Vimelpa. She can be found at the ferry docks on the lower docks. You heard him, man. Good luck to you, lad. In the lore, there was one that the Padgel who did die of old age natural causes after a long many centuries, if I recall correctly. Yeah, that is one of the people I'm referring to, and their name escapes me right this second. But that's one of the main ways we know how they tend to die. They can be killed, though. Master what now? Lol. I thought the same thing. Did I say something funny, or did he say something funny? I totally missed it. I don't know why I went up here. I can just teleport. Oh, no, I fucking can't just teleport. Why is life a pain? Oh, because it's just they're gonna take me to Aelport. Just let me go to... I understand you have to lead people because a bunch of new players may not know where won't know where Sastasha is, but at the same time, god damn it. Just let me go there. Please, I beg you. Let me just fight the Sahagin. Masturbator. Well, I'm glad it provided some entertainment. Padgel, yep. You're here about the Commodore Rayner's investigation, then you'll want to board a ferry bound for Aelport. Once you arrive in western Lenosia, though, you'd be paid a visit to the Hall of Novice before you blunder into Sastasha. The Adventurers Guild runs the hall, and the folk there will prepare you train you with the skills you'll need to face the dungeons undoubtedly waiting for you in the secret. The hall is on the way to Sastasha, just north of Aelport. Head inside, and one of their seasoned adventurers will take you in hand. Best of luck to you, friend. Hey, what the fuck you want? Can I go to Aelport? You got Gil? Yeah. Okay, you can go. The ferry is bound for Aelport. You riding with us? Yes, we're all 12. Hey, look, if everybody's getting a laugh at it, look, no matter what happens, even if I do something dumb or makes me look silly, it's worth it as long as it makes someone laugh. So if you guys are getting entertainment out of it, good. Seeing as it was a joke for 12 years old, though, I'm sure Serene got a laugh. I appreciate that they're making you do some practice tutorial stuff before you go into a dungeon, but also, no, we're all 14. But beautiful. Okay, Issa was right. We have entered the dungeon.
Aye, you must be the adventurer of whom the Yellow Jackets sent word. I hear you are to brave the depths of the Sastasha Sidhart. The occupants of those caves are rumored to be numerous, as they are bloodthirsty. No matter what the epic tales would have you believe, strolling into such a den of savagery alone would be the height of foolishness. No, you shall need companions, and you shall need the training we here at the Hall of Novice can provide. I strongly suggest that you study the fundamentals of group combat before continuing your mission. The smith here oversees the training schedule. Speak with him and you can register for the exercise tailored to your particular field of expertise. Hi, I'm the smith. When you've mastered all that our masters have to teach, then it'll be time to head north once more. Report to the Yellow Jacket Scout at the mouth of the Sastasha Sidhart, and he'll furnish you with the details of your duty. Ooh, can I just go straight there? Oh, cool, I don't have to do it. Awesome. The duty support system is actually quite decent for the NPC controlling system. I just wish the AI would also be used for the squad management. The UI? Do you mean the UI for, or do you mean that like the same AI system for squadrons? I'm not sure which specifically you mean, Professor, but I'd love to know. I totally did not get the context, and I was like, how come Ellie doesn't get burned for being lewd on stream? It makes sense now. Yeah, duty support has been lovely so far with AI. Awesome, I'm about to use it for the first time. Altier is my new hero. I've enjoyed duty support. I'm good. So, let's take a moment to begin the sadness. Avere. What took you so bloody long, Ada? If me purses were too light, you might have considered using some of your own bleeding coin to get us what we needed. You've only ever been as useful as the contents of your pockets. The goods know that you can barely eel a scratch. It tooks up the venture in life to take on the big jobs and claim the big rewards. How are we meant to do it if you can't even get our supplies in order? It's him! That's the one Bateron was talking about. Well, we'll see who gets the glory. This job should have been ours in the first place. You know the sad thing is that like the disposition of Avere and like how he treats Ada varies. Like it's always not great, but boy, between localizations does it very wildly. Ada, you're so slow. You lose a foot race. Oh my god. You'd lose a foot race to a tree slug. She's just always a dick. Pyoreo. This is the perfect of our inaugural outing as a party, wandering around in the caves, turning over a few rocks. How difficult could it possibly be? I've never expected our first adventure to the Adventurers Guild would yield such a straightforward way to win fame and fortune. I'm sorry, Avere. I came as fast as I could. I tried haggling with the merchant, but 2 potions was the best I could get with the money you gave me. I had no idea how expensive they were. And that's the last of you see them, and no tragedy is ever resultant. And actually, good. So fun note: these two end up getting married and live happily ever after. I promise that's what happens. You can trust me. Please tell me you're here on Yellow Jacket duty and not some daft sod out for a stroll. I can't take any more of the blasted waiting. You are? Oh, thank the gods. I assume you already know about the ship seen slipping around the Isles of Umbra. We've been on the lookout for pirate activity ever since the vessel was sighted, thinking a crew of cutthroats might have a den nearby. So when we received word that men of questionable quality had been seen passing in and out of Sastasha here, we weren't entirely surprised. I've yet to see them for myself, but this is a lot belonging to those fishbacks fancying serpent reavers. Well, you can imagine the panic it'll cause. The kidnappings are still fresh in the people's minds. Anyway, your task is to poke around the caves and find out exactly who we're dealing with. While you do that, I'll be keeping watch out here, praying you don't spot any blue face tattoos. Duty Finder and Duty Support unlocked. Sastasha unlocked. Or Sastasha now accessible. Ooh, unless the allied party may challenge the dungeon with 2 different methods. Duty Support. Yep, okay. If I click it, will pop it up. Yes. Cool. Let me catch up on you guys real quick.
Talk to Aldine too. Did I miss her? I missed her, didn't I? Whoops. Thank you. Grandfather and I are companions on the road. We travel where the wind takes us and drink all the wonders in this world has to offer. Only an adventurer can understand the joy of such freedom, of discovering hidden places and experiencing sights and sounds that many ever know. The passing years have begun to take their toll on the old man, but no force save death itself will sate his appetite for adventure. Isildur. A fellow adventurer, you two are here to unravel the mysteries of Sastasha. I have adventured across the wide realm for more seasons than I dare to count. Yet still Eorzean... Let me do something older. Yet still Eorzean manages to surprise me with her beauty and splendor. Our journeys are not yet ended by my attainment of riches or fame. It is an unquenchable thirst for the unknown that drives us into the wild tames time and time again. Even if I explored the world for 1,000 years, I would never grow weary of this life. Just look at the beauty, see how she glows. You can almost feel the power running through her. What exactly is he after? What is it? What does it look like? It's a short sword. Ah, but now I suppose you're wondering why all the fuss over a short sword. That's easy, you see. This isn't an ordinary, run-of-the-mill, mass-forged, store-brought, bottom-of-the-bargain bin short sword. This here is a genuine ethereal short sword. One of a kind, in fact. Can't you see it glow? No? Well, trust me, it's there. And the glow means that this short sword is special. It means it's powerful. Or at the least, a little more powerful than what you normally expect from a mere short sword. Can we make a deal? A deal? Ha! Do you know how long it took me to find this? How many parties I was forced to suffer with greedy bastards who kept claiming all the ethereal loot, even though their bags were already full of the stuff? No, this sword is mine, and if you want it, you'll have to pry it from my cold, dead hands. Which in truth is how the ethereal gear comes to be. You've heard of spirit bonds, I assume? That spiritually charged ethereal connection you form with any gear you've equipped? Well, in rare cases when someone is wielding an item with a especially strong spirit bond is slain in battle, the energy created by that bond remains trapped inside, rather than returning to the life stream. The energy enhances the gear, and voila! You have the ethereal short sword of an ethereal subligar, or a pair of ethereal goatskin smithy gloves of gathering. The fact that for an item to become ethereal, the owner of that item must perish without having it equipped, usually means that they can only be found in dangerous locations, where terrible, bloody battles have occurred. Now, if I was looking to get my hands on another ethereal weapon, I might be that head back into Sastasha. I'm going to pretend that's exactly what he did. I think I'll leave you alone with your sword now. You don't have the look of a pirate, but one can never be too careful on these islands. Let's do it. Actually, real quick. At least Isildur and his granddaughter are still kicking, happily ever after. Why did I unironically cry to their story? Because it's sad and meaningful and emotional and powerful and sad, and so you can totally understand why we cry. Why does it then still give abuse intent, or is it more like the playback thing where you said he is mostly under pressure but really does love her? Yeah, it is. It's framed both in E1 and in like JP. It's not quite as harsh as it comes across in English. Unfortunately, thing about how novice adventurers can meet untimely end. One example of how I recall is Goblin Slayer. Painting that, no mind, I implore you don't. Yeah. We have a ranking system in Adventures Guild for a reason. Yeah, many die of lowest rank goblin. Oh, that is new. You can party with NPC early now. Yep, Pedro, welcome, by the way. That is now a system. The duty support system exists throughout all of Realm Reborn and will soon exist in both Heavensward and Stormblood. Are you going to do optional dungeons like Auroran Vale? Maybe. We'll see. Yep, they're incorporating the trust system. Yep, it's part of the optional dungeons. Don't have super support. The guy has a weird relationship with a sword. Sorry, short sword. He has a very short sword. Maybe Garrett is the serious version of the fighter from 8-Bit Theater. What's the difference between a short sword and a long knife? Literally, historically, there are points at which there is none. It is just depends on who you ask. The lines between definitions on weapons, for instance, what's considered a longsword and what's not, deeply depends on where you are culturally and what you define something under. So hard lines between things don't really exist for weapons. Ethereal sunlight underwear sounds kind of creepy, not going to lie. That guy has self-confidence of a jellyfish. Why jellyfish? How should we call you? What should we call you? The Archivist? You can call me Elio. You can call me, I mean, you can call me the Archivist or an Archon if you want. Feel free to call me Elio. That's typically what people have defaulted to. Elio, Ellie, if they want to be playful. I wanted to name him with some simple and not complex organism. Let's hit it. I'm also interested to see the pace of this, seeing as, I mean, one, I don't have the Warrior Crystal, not that would matter much, but on top of that, how much slower it'll be with the duty support. Oh man, it's been so long since I've watched some of these cutscenes for the intros. At least this one, like some of them I've seen frequently because I've recorded them for our story, archival footage. I'm trying to think of a very simple life. Sea cucumber. He has the confidence of a sea cucumber. He has the confidence of a nematode. Eager Conjurer has the best "I'm just done" face in his portrait. I didn't turn on tank stance. I'm a bad tank. Okay, let's see if I can double pull with these guys. I meant the NPCs, that last phrase, not about you, Ellie. Oh, okay. I can't with this chat. NPCs weren't even nice enough to remind you of your stance. I mean, that's how you know. That's how you know the Eager Conjurer. Bad healer. It's their fault that I'm taking damage. And it's their own fault they're taking damage, not because I didn't turn on tank stance. Like, come on. We all know that, right? But for real, if you're a tank, turn on your tank stance. And don't be a dick to your healer. And don't be a dick to your DPS. And everybody else, don't be a dick to your tanks. Come on. Come on, Conjure. Come on. Come on. Yeah, there we go. Thank you. I should probably, as much as I'll do more overall DPS, if I do my AoE, it might make sense to focus targets if I'm worrying about dying. Oh no, they've got me. Okay. Don't forget to check the color notes. I just clicked them and I don't care, and I'd rather do the stuff. I mean, you know what? Maybe there's. It's been so long since I've read a color note that let's go ahead and read it in case there's lore. Costs don't always make the weapon. Look at Jack Sparrow's sword. It's his favorite sword. It only cost him 5 shillings. It's just slightly longer than a normal cutlass. AC, are you the one who keeps referencing Jack Sparrow lately? Bloody memo. You find a bloodstained scrap of parchment with a message. You find a bloodstained scrap of parchment with a message scrawled upon it in faded ink. The captain ikes with his wine red. Do the black mages just stand there still in mechanic like real players? Probably. I mean, to be fair though, if you're playing black mage right and you're in your ley lines, standing still is what you're supposed to be doing. Because I do that. The NPCs do their best to avoid mechanics. Good, good, good. Black mage doesn't need to move if all enemies die. Black mage does need to move if they're going to take damage that needs to be prevented to make sure that they don't die and that the healer isn't having to deeply adjust. But yes, broadly, that's true. If the enemy's already dead, you don't need to worry about it. Y'all might get better heals if you stop making fun of Gridanians. I was meant to say jokes on you, but actually all the healers in my static are both from Gridania as well. So you might have a point there. You may have a point there, Ren. AC Garams. I wish that Monk had a basic range ability. Air Render is a thing. I mean, at least you have your dash. Oh, come on, guys. Come on. Stick to the tank. Stick to the plan. It's red. It's red. I'm a wizard. Good job, Sarine. I think that would make you more of a prophet than a wizard. No, they totally should have a range attack. Sorry for the yell, but I've been asking why with Monk lacking one for the longest time. So here's part of why. Monks, you have your, I'm forgetting the ability's name, but you have things you can do. So the big thing for having DPS having abilities is to make sure, or ranged abilities, so that during downtime or ranged moments we can't hit melee, you have ranged attacks. But with the monk, you can charge your chakras up during that time. And so like you already have an ability for downtime like that, and giving someone a ranged ability would promote using the ranged ability, even though that may not be actually optimal for your DPS, but people may not know better. So this prevents confusion, and so that the only thing you would really do when you can't hit them because you're at range is to do your charges. That was appropriate in dungeon giving Sastasha with pirates. Yes. That's fair, AC. Good. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm not gonna criticize you or anything. It's like, hey, I love Captain Jack Sparrow as well. In other FF games, some monks have one already. It's called Air Render. Yeah. But the way that the monk has been tuned and created for 14, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's a melee class, so I'm fine with it not having a gap closer like Lee Sun Kink would be cool. I mean, it does have a gap closer though. Elio shucking a clam with an axe. Damn right. Tank adjust. I mean, yeah, I know I'm having to adjust, but also I'm trying to read while doing this at the same time, so. A reasonable difference between knife and sword is something like one is a tool, the other is a weapon. That's not historically necessarily true, though. Why knives were often used on the battlefield by many, many different people, both from archers to spearmen. So, like, I don't think that I would not agree with that definition. Is it normal to have a job burnout? I play a lot of Red Mage recently, but I feel like no job seems fun anymore. Yeah, that's pretty normal. I would say the best thing to do is to try a different role. That's usually the best way to switch it up in my mind. I almost did the wrong one. I love playing tank so much. I don't really get tired of it, but I will often switch to playing Sage for healer. Or if I want to play caster, I'll play summoner. Or if I want to play melee DPS, I'll do Reaper. But I usually don't want to play DPS. I usually end up just wanting to play tank 90, 80, 90% of the time, and then but that's just me. And I switch tanks, right? I've switched from maining Dark Knight. I would definitely say one thing you can do is focus on leveling other jobs as a way of like getting into them and trying them out. But yeah, I would definitely say try a different role knockout. And definitely outside of your comfort zone. Or at least what jobs have you like? You said Red Mage, so like you could look to other jobs in that broad category. Not just in casters, but like that kind of fulfill that same kind of idea. Yeah, I suppose meditation or even six-sided star would be your downtime for monk, but it just feels weird. I mean, but the thing is if you just give everyone a range attack rather than actually having them have some identity, people complain about that too. And I would rather have the monk have some personal identity with that than just giving it another range attack and making it the exact same as samurai and the exact same as dragoon and the exact same. So I do think that there's something to be supported about it having, in my opinion, to my taste, right? This is not an objective argument. It's just I do think, I mean, a lot of people already complain a whole bunch about how the different tanks are all too samey and aren't different enough. For me, like, I feel like there's quite a big difference because as much as that they have universal things, they have a lot that differentiates them in terms of how they execute upon that. Come on. Good. I don't have home gang. I need you. I can't panic button. I'm sure some people Chef Ramsay people on the battlefield. Yep. I mean, we know for sure that that's the case. We know that it was very common for like archers, for instance, on medieval battlefields, like the Battle of Agincourt, where archers would use knives to get in between the slits in their armor. I'm sure I like playing healer, but it's fun to DPS from time to time. Yeah. Oh, hi, Remziel. I don't know if I said hi. Hello. Yeah. That's basically the same relationship I have with tanking and healing. I play Pally, all casters, scholar, and white mage. Yeah. I mean, I technically have played everything. I would say, do you like Paladin? And if you like Paladin, why not check out Gunbreaker Warrior or Dark Knight and kind of commit to trying them out and like learning them to their fullest? I would say that is potentially worthwhile. I would say of those, maybe try Gunbreaker, because Dark Knight's in a weird place and Warrior is its own flavor in contrast to Paladin, whereas Gunbreaker is different, but there's more of there's closer to a set rotation the way that Paladin does it at 90 especially. I mean, they all have set rotations, but just like there's a bit of a difference, a bit of different flavor. Wait, did I walk backwards? I'm going to look over, and I'm sure a couple of you in chat are admonishing me and yelling at me that I walked backwards while doing this. And you're right. And I have nothing to defend myself. I'm trying to get all the classes up to Heavensward 60 right now. I've got White Mage, Black Mage, and War left. Yeah, nice, sweet, awesome, awesome, Professor. Which ones have you made your favorite? Also, in general, for all of you, what are your favorite roles and why? Tanking is intimidating. DPS is nice and chill for people like me who aren't confident in their skills. It's so funny to me because I'm so much more stressed out by DPSing than I am by tanking. Tanking makes sense to me, whereas like DPSing, it's like part of the problem is for me with tanking, I need to make sure I'm surviving, mitigating as much damage as possible, and doing my rotation properly. But like with DPSing, if I'm not doing perfect in terms of my rotation because my job is to DPS, I'm not happy. So I'm much more stressed out by DPSing. I play every role though. I play Paladin. I play every role. Yeah, I would say then, so all casters, Scholar and White Mage. I would say check out Sage and check out Gunbreaker, then based off of that, Knockout. That would be my thought. Also, I guess if you like set rotation, it might be worth trying out Reaper. There's a funny story about a knife sword historically called the Macer. Yep, German for... Yeah, yep. Yes. I know what you are talking about, Des. I mean, like, look at a Bullock's knife. Like, pull up a Bullock's knife. That was used by people in Europe all throughout the medieval period, and I wouldn't be surprised if before. Chef is such an underrated job in RPGs. They can actually be a powerful job in some cases. Trying to get... Home gang is when you summon your small gang of Latino friends to come and protect your homes. Okay, Atelier. We'll go with that for now. I love Warrior now. I used to hate it because of the targeted cone being the only AoE for level 30s. I don't love Warrior, but it's partially because I just haven't given it the effort and time I should. Hopefully playing this might make me, but the problem is I'm gonna switch off Warrior once we get to Heavensward, which will be 60, so I won't even get to play fun Warrior. Yeah. Warrior is my least favorite tank to play. It's not because I think it's bad or because I don't like it at all. Oh, wait. There's a line in here that's really dark. Where is it? I'm not one of them, I swear! I swear it on what little remains of my virtue! Jeez. I like when different grab the chest. It's not a big problem. I'm not going to be doing a bunch of crafting, so distant thing doesn't matter. And on top of that, like, I can buy gear. It's not going to be good gear anyways. Or not going to be gear enough that it matters. Oh, actually, I forgot to grab the key. I like when different jobs have different gameplay patterns. If all jobs are similar, I would bore myself hard. Yeah, I would think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who disagrees with you, but I agree with you, so... I always love Summoner and gave me an excuse to play make a Pokemon cosplay. Nice. Yeah, I actually enjoyed Summoner pre-rework, and now I love Summoner. I didn't love it before, but I enjoyed it compared to a lot of other jobs. It wasn't good. Like, it wasn't great, but it just worked for me. But, oh my god, I adore Rework Summoner. And Rework Summoner has so much space to be built off of, too, for future expansions. I enjoyed healing as I love helping others. I'm a licensed massage therapist in real life. Oh, nice, Aurora. Yeah, I get the same joy out of being a tank, like knowing that I'm holding the aggro and holding the line for my allies, and also that I need to know what I'm doing and can set up, like, for instance, make sure the boss is set so that people can definitely get their positionals without having to worry about it. It's very, very similar to why I enjoy it. Used to be a healer for me until Stormblood. Since then, it's DPS. What made you switch, Ren? I'm simple. Does it have magic? If the answer is yes, I like it. Interesting, Pedro. I would wonder, because most classes, if not, well, really all classes use ethereal manipulation and basically some form of magic, does that not count? And is it more about the aestheticism of using magic in a sort of classical way? So your casters, your white mages, your sages, stuff like that. Summoner is just plain fun, but working on Pally to see if I like it. I can do the low-level instances pretty easy, but I grow will be a learning curve. D, if I can make you, as a Paladin main, if I can make one recommendation, don't judge it until basically after 70, and even then, maybe don't really judge it until 90. It takes a while to get really, really online, and also, it's worth knowing what the rotation of it is exactly. You will enjoy it a hell of a lot more. Paladin is a fuck ton of fun, and it is also, there is a very set rotation for it. You do your melee combo. You set up your, you set up for Riot. You do your melee combo, then you go into your, you set up your 1-2-4, then you do your, Riot, then you go into Gore, to make sure you're ready to set up to do Goring Blade. Sometimes you don't set up your 1-2-4, but then after you do that whole combo with Riot, you do your magic combo, then that goes into your Confiteor combo, and then back again. But there's this like wonderful pacing and like flow and cadence to Paladin once you get it down, that is just really, really fun. And then that allows you room to do things like, not only do you have a lot of really interesting and fun mitigation, especially things like Holy Sheltron, but because you have things like Clemency, you have a lot of tools to adapt to situations, not just for yourself, but for other people too. Paladin, Dark Knight for tanking. Yeah, those were the two that I have mained. Scholar for healing, Dragoon for physical, Summoner for memes, and Machinist because I fuck the meta. Hey, I mean, like, the thing is that the idea of a meta in this game is so hilarious. Oh. I don't know why that went so hard. But the idea of a meta in this game is so silly. Not that the meta itself isn't silly. The seriousness with which people take it is silly, because the closeness to which all the jobs are is so close that it's functionally irrelevant. And for encounters, you don't need to worry. You're not going to be like, oh, I brought a machinist, so he didn't have enough DPS to clear the Enrage. Like, that's just not the reason you're not going to clear the Enrage. The reason you're not going to clear the Enrage is because people aren't playing correctly. And okay, to be fair, there are situations in where if your ping's bad enough, Machinist is actively nerfed because of weaving, but foregoing that. Sage seems so confusing though. Sage, it really isn't. Sage is actually pretty straightforward once you understand it. And I would love to sit down and talk to you about it and explain it if you want, to make it make more sense. Favorite job is Bard, strangely enough. Good for you. I can't stand Bard. Bard might be my least favorite class, and I also get frustrated because the amount of Bards that I play who choose to play Bard but don't know how to play Bard, and then that I out DPS as the tank is way too common. It's way too common. Like, I know that they're a utility, but still. I like White Mage. GPS is stressful for many rotations. So yep. For my preference, they're pretty basic. Warrior for tanking, White Mage for healing, Dancer for range, or Red Mage. Yep. I like Paladin, the flavor in RPP, but tanking to the walls pulls stressful. Oh, I love tanking wall to wall. That's the best. Doesn't feel smooth when I do it. Oh, wait. I like Paladin flavor, but tanking. Really? Tank's one of the best ones for that. Tank's better than Warrior. Tank's better than Gunbreaker or Dark Knight. Tank's like possibly as.
Shh, you sully our spawning grounds, Shore Walker.
Tank is Paladin has so many tools. It's probably one of the best ones, especially with things like Sheltron, your multiple mitigations, and your Clemency. I expect Thaliak in Myths to use his Mithril Great Axe with modified warrior moveset. That's what the legends describe it as. Yep. Anyways, yep. I've been thinking the same thing. AC. I gotta tap out. Serene, bye. Sorry. Ellie, go get yourself a milkshake after stream. Aw, thank you. I am. You know what? Serene, if you're still here, I am literally going to go spend that on a milkshake, and I will send you a picture of that in Discord. I expect Thaliak. Hey, I just beat a Realm Reborn New Game Plus. I have to say I liked it a lot more in my first run through AR. Hey, Phantom, glad to see you. Yes. The sad truth is about A Realm Reborn is that it's so much more enjoyable on a second time through when you have an understanding of the world and characters, and the depth that's being presented to you is more enjoyable. Rather than just like, okay, Christ. And you can look past its like pacing flaws and a lot of other stuff. I'm not surprised. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I mean, spell slinging. Yeah, okay, Pedro. I feel so bad for AR. Honestly, I came into this game with little to no expectations. Besides the usual, it gets better. And enjoyed the whole experience. Awesome. For everyone who just straight up enjoyed it, fucking awesome. Good. When it comes to healers, I enjoy Scholar since I love Fairy. Scholar's my least favorite healer. Scholar, my main class right now, it's super good. Awesome. My point from earlier, all melee jabs have range attacks when they can't melee. Sure, and Monk also has the option to charge me while I like this difference. Yeah. I want to rework primal weapons for A Realm Reborn, at least on higher content. Update it for all jobs to get them if they have a chance. Yeah, a lot of people would like that. The difficulty is that if they do that for them, they also then have to go back, keep doing that for... There's a lot of potential, the amount of work issues involved for that. But I'm with you, AC. If you get the time to explain at some point, I would definitely be down. Yeah, Knockout, I will sit down and explain Sage with you. I love Sage, and I would love to make that clear. Oh, that's a good idea, actually. Would love to see them go back to earlier primal weapons and update them for the newer jobs. Yes. The difficulty comes... They've done that with some of the older jobs. The problem is that they keep doing that. What happens is you have all the expansions. You go back and update for Realm Reborn. Well, why not update for Heavensward and Stormblood? And then you have to go update all of those. And so you get more and more expansions. Then there's more and more content. And it takes time to go do that. Make sure that someone creates the concept art. Someone creates the actual model. That the model gets passed. And so... I understand why it's not a priority, though I do want it. Is Elio, I'm going to help everyone with everything they need kind of guy? As someone who does all the side quests Dark came across especially satisfying, Frey knew what he was talking about. Yes. I am typically, sympathetic in spirit and like to help people out where able. I am also strong, I also have strong opinions and come from a background where I'm used to debate being normal and disagreement and like making your case being normal too. So if you ever witness me being like, this is what I think, this is why I disagree with you, or it is not a personal dig. It is based on the information I have, I'm presenting that. If you have contradictory information, please do. I will change my mind if you present it to me, but just let that be known. Yeah, also, thank you, Serene, for the money, and in general for anyone with patrons, the donation to the chat. It has been really helpful and relieving of stress lately, having a more income coming in from the channel. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. I can return. Actually, is anyone outside worth talking to? No, everyone's gone. Yeah. Okay. Let's return and let's catch up on chat. But maybe it's more time efficient if I Google it. Yeah, you can. The problem is that a lot of times the guides are set up that if you don't have a fundamental context, it can be confusing to understand what exactly they're getting at for the best way to do it. If you find a guide that works for you, then yeah, feel free to go with that. But if you need like a baseline, like here's how you want to think about it, I can definitely help with that. I mean, that's what the Discord too is for. You can always at me there and just like, if you have a question about lore, if you have a question about jobs, I'm happy to talk about it. It's probably pirates. Where is that? It's okay. We're going to Bateron. Come on. Dark was a really fun. The Dark Knight quest is by far and away the best job quest in terms of like story, and it's just awesome. And it's just freaking great. Which is the angrier job, Warrior or Dark Knight? It depends. It depends on how you want to define anger. Because if you define anger as rage in a broad and general sense, like just the carnal, cortisol flowing version, then it is the warrior. But if you think about the level to which the wrath and anger of a Dark Knight towards the injustice of the wicked, I would argue that might be greater too. But I think they're an equivalent. They're equivalent in a sense, and they're also in some ways uncomparable. Ninja lets me walk past mobs when I'm just trying to talk to quest NPCs. Warrior, AC Gear, Dark Knight isn't angry so much as it is edgy. No, but like the anger that Dark Knight has towards the unjust is the foundation of much of your strength. So like it is It is important. It is an important thing. I want to understand from where Den came from. I mean, you were stopping a bunch of more illegal smugglers than they popped in. Where's the Den? Do you? I'm not sure. I don't follow quite the question, Pedro, but I would love to answer it if you have it. Are you going to try to get Moonbreeda's axe from for the Glam? I have that on other characters, so yeah, maybe I'll go ahead and get it. It's Garrow. No, it's not Garrow. Or is it Garrow? I'm glad now I can sleep. Enjoy your milkshake. Don't forget to sing the milkshake song Urianger version when drinking it. Absolutely agree on second time through A Realm Reborn. I recently did an alt and had exactly... Okay, oh my god. There are so many of you guys. Thank you all for chatting, but also, holy shit. Hello, Nano. I don't believe I said hi before. Let's do messages. Or we got cutscenes. Oi, such task was on the book. Was mind. I'm afraid the ship that has already sailed, my friends. Yeah, because I fucking did it.
Might you be the adventurer who accepted the job of investigating Sastasha?
Yep, that was me.
It would seem that ship has not only sailed, but now returns to harbor. None the worse for its voyage. A pity. We dragged our boots too long on this one.
No matter the wheel we turn, and our chances will come.
You are right, of course, but there shall be no rest till we have attained our goal, lofty though it may be. Not a wink of sleep, great leader. Our aim, lest you wonder, is to perform such feats of heroism as well, earn us a place in the songs of every alehouse in Eorzea. We mean to write legends with which will inspire adventurers as yet unborn to follow our shining example. Do you have such a goal, large or small? It matters not, only have a star to reach for, and you will reach higher. Purpose can sustain you through times of hardship. Keep your eyes on the prize, and all obstacles will become overcome in time. You would not think to stride into battle unclad, would you? Well, goals are as arms and armor for the spirit. I wish you fortune in your endeavors, sir.
Bye.
Aye, back then, are ye? With all your limbs and a tale to tell, I'll wager. Fishbacks, and there I was thinking you only carve a pack of pirate skulls or 3. 7 hells. You turn your back for 5 bloody minutes and the scary bastards set up shop on your bleeding doorstep. Still sounds like you left them in pieces, so I don't suppose they'll be carrying out whatever mischief they were planning, unless they were planning on feeding themselves to the fauna of Sastasha. Of course, any road, all's well that ends well. Thanks for your shedding some light on this mystery. I knew you'd get the job done, lad. You always do. Now, I bet you're dying for a rest, but just in case you're not, I was wondering if you might be interested in taking on another job. It just so happens I've added requests from our sister guild in Gridania, see? Seems the forest folk are in need of adventure what can get things done. For them to ask for help like this, you can bet the task won't be no skip through the sunny glade, but whatever way you dealt with our fishbacks infestation, I doubt it's anything you can't handle. Give us a shout when you're ready, and I'll lay it out for you. Let's try to catch up on some of this. Holy frickin' moly. My main tank is Gunbreaker. My main DB playing Sage. Makes you feel like you're playing on a piano and controller. It feels awesome. Agreed, Atelier. I don't play on controller, but similar feeling. I loved it the second time around. The first time I played, I had to return the Waking Sands over and over and threw me off. Yep. I had to play A Realm Reborn the first time I ever played it through. I played it in more than one chunk. I played it a large swath of it, and then I took a break for like a month or two, and only came back because I had friends who were playing it, and I was like, I'm going to continue to try and get into this game. Which should tell you something that now I literally run a lore YouTube channel on it, that it won me over. Are you going to Scarborough Fair, Parsley Sage, Rosemary, and Thyme? I tire of this charade. How many levels was that? 2. Debate me. I mean, I don't actively seek it out, but like, you know, I'll have conversations about it, so Professor, whenever you want. True baseline would be great considering I know 0 about Sage. Yep. That's to me the thing is if you have a baseline for a job, you can fill in the rest pretty easy. Dark Knight, Seath, Warrior, Mauled. Yeah, not unfair, Nano. I really want to cure the Tomberries. Play all the Sage job quests, or all the Scholar job quests, Chris. That's all I'll say. I like those guys. The guys, little monologue here, so much foreshadowing in hindsight. I remember honestly the prologue. The dungeon you were fighting, you were dealing with a bunch of more illegal smugglers in Limsa, and a raid of Sahagins just arrived. Yeah, so those smugglers are basically holding the fort and deal with the Serpent Reavers, but the Serpent Reavers are all tempered people. Some of those people were also Serpent Reavers as well. But if you're a Serpent Reaver, you've been tempered by Leviathan, and the Sahagin are basically your rulers. If you're not, they kind of are just like...
you disappointed me, get fucked. So the Sahagin just arrived because they're in control of everything that's going on there, and this guy let them down. So they said, nope, you die. I wish the Dolores Baron's crew were options for duty support instead of the generics. Yeah, it's hard. That's I understand, but at the same time, yeah, I do wish that was a thing too. The Tom Berry Knife Stab is one of my favorite Blue Mage spells. From what Betaron is saying, I think it is that simple. Advert time. Oh, thank you, Ray Ray. Nice, another Elzen player. We are rare. Hey, Kilrick. Yes. Elio. I'm an Elzen. And we are very rare. Because people don't have a thing for the big boys, the small boys. But what about the tall, fair boys? Come on. Did you all know that Betaron is the son of the founder of the Adventurers Guild? Cool. Gear Sand. Limsa is one of the places I have studied the lore less deeply currently, and I need to go sit down and do that, including with like people like Betaron. Gear Sand, I'm describing the animation of that stab. I'm dying with curiosity. Blue Mage. Same. I took a good break during the Kurthus arc in my first playthrough of Realm Reborn, although I had to restart with another character because my break was so long I forgot the context behind everything. I had such a hard time with Realm Reborn, and I was in a bad place in my life at that point that there were points I was skipping dialogue. And again, notice, there were points in my life points in time that I skipped some of the dialogue in ARR, and now do this. So the game, it's a good game. I've learned so much from your channel, and I also have learned so much from Stout Helm channel. It's taught me so much about the lore, and it made me love the game even more. I already have awesome Phantom Nick. I'm glad. Elzens are acquired taste. I first rolled as a male Mikote because they looked the most appealing, but then during my second try of Realm Reborn, I rolled a Rogadin, and it was the biggest factor of how I easily got attracted to my warrior of light. Betaran's heritage comes up during the Moogle mailman quest lines. Nice. I would have played Elzen if the era was an option. Wasn't an option. The stab must look like dumb as fuck with Elzen. Like Arianje for Moonbrita being an acquired taste. Well, no, because like in their history, like Moonbrita always had an affection for Urianger. Like that was always true. Like even on to being kids, we know that. Ready air about the job then. Like I said, the requests come from Sister Guild in Gridania. And there's all that I know, but whatever it is you've got to ask to do, I somehow doubt it'd pose any trouble for a venturer as something. Venturer has survived the Bedlam in Sastasha. If you think you might be interested, you'll want to have words with Mother Mione, my counterpart in Gridania. Good luck, mate. Detour. Welcome, Detour. I personally had a really hard time caring about ARR until the end. Yep, it's understandable. It's something that the best parts about it are, in my opinion, only really appreciated in hindsight, and that the problem too is that A Realm Reborn isn't even bad. It's just so aggressively fine in parts that it makes it bad by comparison. I have 3 characters. All of them are Allison. Finally caught on. I'm Rubita. I skipped almost all of CT when I first went through because I was sick of tracking down crates and wanted to get to Heavensward, but then my FC told me I should do CT first, and this was back in 2015. Yeah. I still only have the vaguest idea of what happened during the CT. But I did care for a Realm Reborn story right from the get-go. I'm a huge JRPG kind of story, and story pacing hit all the right spots for me, honestly. You know, Atelier, honestly, my problem was I have played a lot of JRPGs, and it wasn't doing anything particularly interesting, and I played other ones that had done everything so much better, and there wasn't a lot of voice acting. The characterization was good, but it wasn't great. Like, the narrative was, like, kind of basic-ass in a lot of what you were doing. Like, even on to the end of 2.0, and it only really starts getting more compelling as you get into the 2.x series. Take a seat, whatever you like, friend. Our waitress will come and take your... Oh? Not here to dine? Dare I hope that you're the adventurer Betaron sent word about? You are! The matron be praised. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Mione, and the Carlin Canopy is my place. With regard to the task in question, there's a fair bit to tell. Let me know when you're ready to hear the details, and I shall brief you. Oh my god, you guys talking so much today. I love it, but also makes it hard to pick out things to say. Ready for the briefing? Good. Now then, beg pardon for interrupting, Mione. But our needs grow ever more pressing. Have none stepped forward? Good day to you, O Lord. Your need must be pressing indeed for you to honor us with a visit. The good news is, your journey hasn't been wasted. I'm pleased to report that we have a volunteer at last, and one who comes highly recommended at that. My thanks for answering the call, friend. My name is Lewin, and I lead the men and women of the God's Quiver. Now, time is of the essence, so I shall proceed directly to the heart of the matter. We will wish for you to nip a potential threat to Gridania in the bud. Beneath the central shroud, there lies an underground burial site called Tamterra Deepcroft. The place was once a Gelmoran settlement, but we Gridanians have long interred our dead there. Of late, however, shadowy figures have been seen skulking about the Deepcroft, with ever-increasing regularity. Based on our accounts of various witnesses, we suspect that these individuals belong to the Lambs of Dalamud, a doomsday cult which sprung up prior to the calamity. These zealots have proven themselves dangerous in the past, and we leave them to their own devices at our peril. Ordinarily, I would have dispatched my best men to scour the Deepcroft, with orders to flush the cultists out. Alas, the calamity decimated our ranks, and the limited forces at my disposal are constantly required to keep the Ixal at bay. The birdmen have grown restless of late, and I fear a storm may be brewing in the anticipation of this. I've been compelled to spread our forces throughout the Twelveswood, lest we be taken unawares. The situation so being, we must turn to others to deal with the Lambs of Dalamud. Can we rely on you to undertake the task, friend? You have my gratitude. Once you've seen to your preparations, pray make your way to the Deepcroft and identify yourself to the guard positioned at the entrance. We will praise you of the latest developments. That is all. Be careful out there. You hear me? May the crystal guide you and keep you. My milkshakes. Mjolnir was a former adventurer, right? Yep, it will. They go a lot of detail about Endwalker. Yes. What is the Endwalker series? I was able to stay on track of the lore and game until the very end of Shadowbringers, but I couldn't pay attention to Endwalker. Will that series help me out? It might. I mean, it's spoilers. It's going over the series and talking about it in depth. It's basically a podcast that is running through in chronological order the whole of it. Also, though, if you didn't, I mean, I don't know what to say, because like Endwalker is my favorite expansion far and away. If it wasn't capturing you, I don't know if the podcast will help. It may, but it is played assuming you've beaten Endwalker and is spoilery. Yeah, but it's hard for me to say because I can't put myself in the shoes of feeling that way about Endwalker. But I would be, please do watch them if it will help. I think some of my problems early on were more frustration because this is my first MMO. Yeah, that's understandable, Detour. Let me rephrase that. I'm a big old school JRPG addict, so all the reading was not hindrance for me, and the small NPC stories sprinkled in the MSQ was akin to Dragon Quest. Right. I'm used to reading. I grew up in an era. I mean, I'm born in 95. I grew up before voice acting was super normalized. My problem is that often there'd be 3 text boxes to tell something that could be done in 1 text box, or there'd be a long swath of space between things, and I have shit to do and not a lot of free time, so it wasn't enjoyable, especially where I was at that point in my life, because there's too much friction. And I think it's telling that Heavensward On consistently tries to shrink that, mitigate that, and decrease that. Like, as much as there's still stuff like that in Heavensward and Stormblood, and some in Shadowbringers, is constantly trying to decrease it to the absolute minimum amount of friction needed, while also having depth and character. And the thing is that while the relationships you build from having that friction in A Realm Reborn end up mattering a fuck ton and need to be told here, they aren't as compelling in A Realm Reborn as they end up being because A Realm Reborn ends up having to set up so much. Chronological order? Yeah. We do reference things that happen afterwards, but it is literally, if you look at the thumbnails, it is literally us going through the entirety of it section by section. And in chronological order. We are currently, our latest episode coming out will be the end of Garlemald, and our next episode will be about, will be the start of Mare Lamentorum. So 7 episodes in, and we'll be about a third through Endwalker on episode 8. Because I assume Mare Lamentorum will take 2 episodes. And when you get to the end of Mare Lamentorum, that's when you see the first trial. And there's 3 trials per expansion. So roughly, each trial maps to roughly a third. I totally understand that base low-key storytelling would bother a lot of people. It's just like that for me. Yeah, and Atelier, let me be very clear. I'm glad it wasn't like that for you and for everyone else I've worked with. But it is, I think there are fair and consistent frictions that people have with it. Anyone remember hearing Uriange's VA talking about milkshakes with his voice? Yes, I saw that interview live. That was pretty hysterical. After Shadowbringers, I honestly didn't think they could top the story, and Endwalker made me cry several times. I literally cried today because I was watching an Endwalker cutscene for a video I'm making. And I had watched that cutscene yesterday, and it made me cry yesterday. So when we get to Endwalker, and probably a lot of Shadowbringers, but especially a lot of Endwalker, you will see me cry. If you don't like seeing people cry, I don't know what to tell you. What I mean is I can't play Final Fantasy XIV, but I like the story and want to see it. Ah, okay, cool. How much would you say has passed from the start of A Realm Reborn to current patch? So we know at least a year. We definitely know it's been less than 4 years. It's probably been roughly around 2 years would be the safe speculation. It's been, you could argue between 2 and 3 years. My base gut point is 2 years, because if it had been 4 years, the twins would be 20, and there's a repeated kind of thing going on about how they would have had a growth spurt if they had reached their 20th summer, because their 20th summer and not to have had their growth spurt is considered late. It only being in a year doesn't really track with the amount of time that is referenced throughout all the MSQ and side quests, and also just doesn't track that the relationships and connections we have all happened over the course of a single year. So about 2 years, give or take, is the best guess. I do at some point want to sit down and I will run through all of, I want to keep meticulous notes of every point in the MSQ and side quest when they say time passes, and see if we can try to get a gauge. Or if you guys want to help me and like crowdsource that, if you want to like try to collect every reference in the game and send it my way, that would also help a ton. For anytime you see like someone mention like a couple days have passed, a week has passed, it's been a fortnight, whatever. Heaven's Word is still my favorite because the setting and world building just feels so real. Yeah, see, it does for me too, but that, like, Shadowbringers does that too. And the thing is, Endwalker is such a catharsis building off of all of that stuff. That's why it works better for me. Elliot Fortunato, I take it. Thanks for helping us out, friend. No doubt the Bowlord has already informed you, but your task enter the deepcroft and purge it of the Lambs of Dalamud. In case you're unfamiliar with them, the cult emerged shortly before the calamity put an end to the Sixth Astral Era. The cultists took to the lesser moon Dalamud for their god, believing it would deliver them from their devastation. And so they were disappointed when Dalamud exploded into 1,000 flaming pieces before it could complete its descent. Now, having seen their god turn to ash, one would think the cultists might feel more moved to question their faith. On the contrary, it seems to have only stoked their flames of their fanaticism. The Lambs of Dalamud are convinced the heretics, that is to say everyone but them, interfered with the coming of their Lord and Savior, and that it's now their sacred duty to avenge him. Whatever it is they're doing in the deepcroft, you may be sure that no good will come of it. For the sake of Gridania and Eorzean at large, put an end to their madness. I haven't played Tamtera since the changes, so I'm excited to see. By order of the Elder Seedseer of the Tamtera Deepcroft has been placed under the control of the Wood Whalers and entry restricted only to those who meet the strict conditions instilled by the Stillglade Fane. Tamtera, here we go. I'm not sure if I jaded or not, but I didn't find any moment ever that made me closer crying. I've cried playing other games, so I don't think trying to get Endwalker done so I could start doing... Yeah, Ramsey, I don't know what to tell you. Might have a hard time connecting then on that, because Endwalker it's definitely my favorite MMO story, and it's one of my favorite video game stories I've ever played. I've played a lot of video games. Hello, Nick. Going to enjoy rewatching this in the morning. Awesome, Nick. I'm glad. And for anyone who was not here at the top, the old episodes will be placed in a playlist that will be available both on the front page and in our playlist section. I will probably keep episodes up in the main feed for maybe a couple days to a week after their release, but I don't want it to clutter the main feed. Shadowbringers felt like a side story to me. Heck, a banger of a side story that. I don't know, I can feel that, Atelier, because literally not only is it fundamental in pushing forward the revelations and understandings of the Ascians and the motives of the characters, the Scions and other characters, with fundamentally understanding the final days, fundamentally understanding the motives behind characters like Emmett Selk, why the Ascians act the way they do, the nature of Zodiark and Hydaelyn. Just because it's stranger in a strange land and not taking place in Eorzean, it doesn't feel like a side... I would say it doesn't feel like a side story, but feel, right? You said feel. You said, which I can't argue how you feel. You are... How you feel is how you feel. But, that said, if you put it in chat, I'm going to read it and I'm going to have a take. Post Shadowbring made me cry the most due to the guilt going down what I call memory lane made me feel. I get easily emotional attached to characters and stories that get presented to me, so Endwalker did so much to make me cry. Yep, I feel that, Tillier. So there's 384 days in the Eorzean calendar. We know they used our 24-hour day cycle. Yes. Yes, that is correct. Thanks. Due to time zones, walking afterwards is great, but also y'all do great work. Thanks so much, Nick. I really appreciate that. Anytime any of y'all give kind words, I really, really appreciate it. And we've been really lucky that this most recent video has done really well. And it's been, the amount of people who have joined from it has just been truly wonderful on just a number of levels. But at the same time, most of the comments on our video have been great. Some have not been. So I may also have to back off of reading all comments because historically we've been small enough and there have been few enough comments that engaging with them wasn't a huge problem. But now if we continue to get more views like this past video, not only is there just a wealth of comments, but it only takes a couple negative ones to like stick in your head. It's not even like thin skinning. It sticks in your head. It becomes hard to not think about it or focus. I just don't want that. And I don't want that stuck in my brain. So Discord and stream conversations are probably the best way to get in contact with me. You'd think playing as a tank main for 4 years, not having forgotten tank stance in anything I've done for at least 2 years, I wouldn't forget it. But then you guys come along and I completely stop focusing. Yeah. Definitely D. I won't feed the trolls and just part of the thing is my nature is to typically to engage, to like engage in well-meaning and like want to engage well-meaningly but one, if you're a troll, you're not after that. And even if you're not a troll, if you just vehemently disagree and maybe are less socially inept or more socially inept or or just like are someone who tends to be a little bit abrasive when disagreeing with someone, even that is like bothersome in and of itself. And so it's it just is what it is. It's okay. I'll at least still cry every time I hear the opera from Final Fantasy VI, but I don't cry that much in Endwalker, but still enjoyed the story a lot, and I was triggered during the scene in Garlemald. Power, if I didn't say hey, this is like a good example though, right? I've played Final Fantasy VI more than once. I don't have really any strong emotions for Final Fantasy VI. It never gave me particularly strong emotions. And that's a great example is that a lot of people, Final Fantasy VI means the world to them, or has made them cry. So it's, to each their own. I don't think Tempterra changed at all. It's Copper Bell Mines and Toto Rock that drastically. They did, but there was, in the trailer cutscene, there was an addition to Tempterra. We'll see if it pops up. Acrylic, FF10, Final Fantasy X is by far my favorite favorite single-player Final Fantasy. I don't want to compare 14 to any other one because that's just not fair. They're such different formats. But far and away, 10 is my favorite. I've cried at 10 all the time. Yeah, Tempter did change a little bit, yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you, Knocked Out. Shame on NPCs for letting you forget. Yeah, healers adjust. FF11 was your favorite MMO? I have played 1 hour of FF11, so I can really not speak to it. And 14 obviously is my favorite MMO, but beyond that, it's probably Guild Wars 2, though there are some like real cherished memories I have with World of Warcraft in its early days. But a byproduct of that was much more it being about a specific point in my life. I was just very young and the world seemed endless and I didn't know enough about game development to be able to see the seams in the world, so anything was possible. Which is something you could have felt in other games as well. Or the orbs you click on are still there. Yeah. Final Fantasy IX was my first. 11 I'm super biased because it's my golden standard for a JRPG. Yeah, and that's the thing, right, is that like we all have tastes and like what we use as our bar is going to greatly affect things. 11 was not my first Final Fantasy. I played a lot of the 1 through 6s before it. I played 12 at the same time as I played it. I don't know, but I played a lot of, but 10 was always the one that's by far spoke the most to me in music and characters, the fundamental tragedy of Tidus, just like everything about that journey. And it's just like, it tells a full story from beginning to end, but you just think about Auron and Tidus sitting by, not Kilika, Luca, and that moment when Auron's telling him sin is jacked, but also when Tidus is saying, I'm not going home, am I? And like Wandering Flame plays in the background. There's so many moments like that throughout 10 that are, it's not just that they make you cry, but they make you feel. And there's the tragedy of Titus's existence and what he's going through. And the arc he gets to go on from being somewhat petulant and brash to being a little bit more level-headed, but also still sincere and eager is just, I could talk for Final Fantasy X for days. X was the first effort I beat. Nice, Chief. Chris, sorry. What do you think of getting an FFX inspired raid for the next expansion? Look, I'll take anything FFX. I am someone who did not like Blitz. I liked Blitzball conceptually in Final Fantasy X, but I hated playing it because it's like, I don't want that in my single player game. I don't want something that's a side content like that. However, fuck man, if they put Blitzball in Final Fantasy XIV in like Gold Saucer, play the shit out of that. I play so much of that. Though I know much to a lot of people's chagrin. What do I think of the next expansion having that? Fuck yes, I'd love it and I would want it. Do I think they'll do it? I don't know. I mean, I was just very happy to get Anima and there are other, and you know, the Magus sisters aren't technically 10. They're in 4 but they're in 4 and 10. There are a couple other 10 references and ideas going on in 10, like the idea of Zodiark and the ancients and how they function, and the idea of the faith in Final Fantasy XIV. You know, there's a bunch of other things, or the Final Fantasy X. Oh yeah, I was obviously faking that laugh. I'm surprised people get so worked up over it. Like if I was supposed to be taken seriously, at least we've got some great memes out of it. Like here's the thing. You'll find this if you talk to me. I will take you at face value when you say things. So when you are talking to me in text especially, you may want to be very explicit when you're joking, because I typically tend to take people at face value for what they're saying. And I'm also used to some people having really wild takes that I think are a joke. Like, I'm like, is that a joke? That they're absolutely sincere and serious about. Gotta get going now. I'll be watching the rest of the stream in the morning. Have a great rest of your night. See you, Knocked Out. Hope you catch this. Thanks so much for joining in. Oh my god, Blitzball PvP. Yeah, I would be there for that. Too bad we had to kill Titus in this game. That's what the lying Rogan said the Primal was called, right? What? I actually genuinely don't know what you're referring to, Atelier. But I also have a very poor memory of Eram Reborn, so if that's what you're referring to, please do remind me. FF8 was your first Krillic? Yeah. FF8, I think, is the one, other than Final Fantasy VII, which is already getting its remakes, but I want an FF8 remake more than a Final Fantasy X remake. Final Fantasy X still holds up for like, as much as certain maybe aspects of the graphics don't perfectly hold up, and the fundamentals of that game completely hold up, and the narrative and the voice acting and all of that. Final Fantasy VIII has so many rough edges, but it could be so amazing. I want a Final Fantasy VIII remake more than any other Final Fantasy game. My first Final Fantasy was Tactics Advanced. Friend in middle school gave me her copy before she moved across the country. That may be the biggest reason it holds a special place in my heart. Stories like that always matter so much, right? I played Tactics Advanced, and I only played Tactics recently for the first. I only played Tactics, the original Tactics, recently for the first time. I think Tactics Advanced is way better than Tactics. Like I don't think Tactics is. It's like, it's fine. It's like that kind of story. It's like, yes, we're doing morally gray, but we're not like. I don't think it's very nuanced. I think it's just like that. It's just like, yeah, it's a JRPG, but actually it deals with moral grayness. But like, okay, in the 90s, that would have been very, ahead of its time, or at least very relatively new. But I think there's a lot of stories that since it has come out have done a lot of it better. I also just don't like Matsuno's style of like having a bunch of lore dump stuff in the background, which he did with Boja and he did with Evilise. That feels like it should be main, like frontline and center stuff. FF7 was my first, but I ended up finishing 10 beforehand, so both of those games will always be my faves. Yeah. I love the Titus and Yuna laugh in 10. Walker's response after just adds to the humor. I get so frustrated with people in that scene. The people who like make fun of that scene, like, oh, it's so cringy, it's bad voice acting. It's like, no! The point of that scene is one of these characters know they're going off to die. The other doesn't, but has just been given bad news. Sees that the other is down and is trying to make them feel better, and they're like, I don't want to feel better, and is forcing himself to like laugh to make himself feel better in like a over-the-top caricature way, and having her join along in it. Sorry. I will diatribe on that for days because that scene is beautiful and so tragic when you understand the subtext of the situation. And yet there was that long period of time on the internet where people are like, oh, it's so cringy because it's bad voice acting. Just like, Oh, the guy you first talked about Titan during the Titan arc refers to him as Titus. Oh, I utterly forgot that, Atelier. I'll look for that when we get there. FF8 deserves a 100% deserves a remake. Yep. Is the only FF I played besides 14-2. Tactics Advance. I recommend trying out quite a few of them. There's a lot of good ones. Some, you know, like I don't enjoy the classic ones as much, not just because of like their narratives are hit or miss for me. I do like 4 and I do like 5 and 6 too. But just mechanically, I don't get into them. But I do think that there's a lot that mechanically hold up. I'd also say that as much as 7 Remake assumes you've played 7 because it doesn't really work if you don't know 7, which is a problem for it being a remake. At the same time, 7 Remake's awesome. I would say definitely play 10. I can't recommend 10 enough. I'm not a big turn-based person. I don't like turn-based combat very much in general, and yet 10 is one of my favorite games, so that should say a lot. It's escapism. It's not healthy. See, I've been very much of the opinion that I treat video games, stories, and narrative as a means to engage with ideas and feelings. Also, I'm sure you're joking, but just let me get on my soapbox for a second. I don't really play games to escape. I play games to appreciate and enjoy and to think and to feel something more that I can then bring back into reality. It's actually a canon thing. He calls him Titan Titus a lot. Really? Raptins just that joke. I grew up on 4 and 6. FF1, the original NES version, honestly one of the hardest games from its era and still one of the hardest FF ever. Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it lets you make yourself, it doesn't really technically let you soft lock yourself, but it kind of lets you soft lock yourself. Yeah, Lying Roganin makes an appearance during the Leviathan questline as well. Cool. 7R did a good job with the dance sequence. 7R did a lot of things amazingly. I wouldn't say it necessarily dropped the ball, but the fact that it's not so much a remake as it is a reimagining that also fundamentally connects to the first one and plays off it in such a way that it doesn't work to its fullest extent if you don't know the original has made its legacy a little more complicated in my mind. Yeah. Oh, okay. It's been so long since I played Tactics Advance Nano. I should definitely replay it. Thank you for allowing me to stand on my soapbox of escapism. There's also a great passage in one of J.R.R. Tolkien's essays about escapism and about the idea of the flight of the prisoner and is it right to deny a man who is trapped within misery the ability to
Who summons from the void to reside within the cruel stage? You seem surprised. Did you not cross the gates in search of us? Come hither, children of dawn. The undying master will have your souls.
Yeah, I just like, is it not right to allow the man imprisoned to connect to narrative, to story, to experience the world beyond the walls of his confinement, be it physical or mental? Yeah, it's a quote from just play to relax and challenge myself. Also, excited for 16. 16 could supplant 10 as my favorite, potentially. Its story is setting up to be like, okay, yeah, I'm down for it. This is my sort of vibe. It could be amazing, especially with who's writing it, main writer for Heaven's Word, and you know who's producing it, Yoshi, and. But the big thing too for me is that the world design and the combat system is exactly what I couldn't be more what I wanted. So I am really pumped. I'm not like I wouldn't describe myself as hyped for 16 in that I don't need 16 to be good to be happy. But I have every reason to think that 16 will be good, and I think it's set up for me to really enjoy it. So I'm definitely excited for 16. Super excited. Turn-based combats feel like a hit or miss if the mechanics struggle to keep you engaged. Totally agree, Detour. Totally agree. I think 10 has enough going on in it and enough interesting stuff that it, despite being relatively straightforward, it stays interesting, and the encounters are interesting enough that it stays interesting. The sphere grid as a system also helps a lot. I've been told that FF7 Remake is an alternate timeline to the original as the scenes that the reference the events of 7. It is an alternate timeline. It starts as basically a near straight up remake with some slight changes, and then at a certain point in the story, it goes full off the wall like, wait, what the fuck? Like, the last third of it is a wild ride that just isn't necessarily inherently bad, but seeing as that we could have really used a version of Final Fantasy VII that was just straight up the original, but in modern graphics and mechanics for people to play so that they could experience the story straight up, I think there is something lost in how they chose to do remake. Davy Jones learned magic. Nice, AC. I use so much of my imagination with turn-based combat that I don't mind it at all. I tell you, I use imagination too, even for like other stuff, but the thing is that it's not a problem of imagination. It's a problem of mechanics being fundamentally uninteresting to me. Because it becomes, most of the time, it's a solved problem. And it's not, there's no enjoyment in the execution for me, because I want to master something or execute. I play the Souls games a lot. I've played all of the Souls games many, many times. I've played Bloodborne on a Soul level 1 run. Like, for me, I have to get something out of execution. And so because that fundamentally is missing from turn-based, unless the turn-based mechanics are fundamentally interesting enough to do something else. Like, I love Paper Mario turn-based because there's still a level of engagement where your timing matters. But yeah. Along the lines of that Tolkien quote, his friend C.S. Lewis had a great stance on allegory. He said stories should be applicable to life, not instructions for it. Yeah, C.S. Lewis I love C.S. Lewis's critical analyses and essays far more than his works. My problem with C.S. Lewis is that he has comments on allegory that are like that, but then also makes so much of his works direct one-to-one allegory, whereas Tolkien specifically writes about his hatred for allegory and that things should be applicable to life. I fully agree, but they shouldn't be analogous one-to-one to something. And there's so much of Narnia, for instance, that is by his own admission, a direct allegory. But the sentiment, I totally agree with Nano. Nomura does Nomura things. Yeah, basically. Doesn't X2 give you Charlie's Angels vibe? AC, that is exactly what X2 is. And if you treat X2 as really good fan fiction, I find it very, very enjoyable. As a continuation to 10, I find it completely unnecessary. Welcome back, Elio. I'm reliably informed that your foray into the deepcroft was a success, nor did I expect anything less. Bateron's ringing endorsement left me in little doubt as to your capabilities. Even so are you to be commended. Beau Lord Lewin asked me to pass on his thanks. I must say, it's something of a relief to be able to call upon such a capable adventurer. Sadly, death has become an ever more common occurrence within our fraternity of late. Times being what they are, the guild is constantly inundated with petitions, and we are hard-pressed to find enough hands to deal with them all. While this means no shortage of work for able-bodied souls, such as yourself, it also provides ample opportunity for the inexperienced to overreach themselves, with predictable consequences. As if to illustrate the point. Oh, Ada. Haveri's gone, and it's all your fault. If it hadn't taken you but an age to heal him, he would have still be alive. This is the worst version of Heal or Adjust. But I tried. He bolted out of range before I could finish the spell. Oh, whoops. Here, let me... He shouldn't have been so hard-pressed in the first place. He should have done more to lighten his burden. Bah! To hells with this pathetic excuse for a party. I'm leaving and it'd be too soon if I never see your faces again. Goodbye and good riddance. I'm leaving as well, and I doubt this comes as any surprise, but I never liked you. I only suffered you for your healing, but you couldn't even do that one thing right. Cruel though this may sound, you brought this upon yourself. Oh, and by the way, some parting advice, get rid of Haveri's head. Bury it, cremate it, do whatever the hells you like with it, but for God's sake, stop carrying it around. It's just, get rid of it, alright? Wait, don't leave me alone, please. I'm sorry, Haveri. Please forgive me. Scenes like this have become all too common. That makes a dozen times in half as many days. Now you see why I'm grateful for adventurers of your experience. I can send men like you on a mission without worrying that you might not return. Well, not so much at any rate. Speaking of missions, I would entrust you with another. About a bell ago, I received a message from my counterpart in Ul'dah. She seeks the service of a reliable adventurer, and you are nothing if not reliable. If you think you might be interested in the task, say the word, and I'll be glad to share the details with you. Okay. It is time, so we're going to call it here for today, but I'm going to finish all of your questions, or your lovely, lovely messages. I've played every mainline Final Fantasy game except for 11, but I do want to play FF11 one day. Phantom, I'm in the exact same boat. That is the exact same thing, same for me. Wait, really? Have you played FF7 Remake? They made it into a canonical alternate timeline. Oh, wow. Yeah, it goes wild. It's not just a canonical alternate timeline, it does more than that, let's just say. 7 Remake is a great game, and its choices are Nomura, maybe not at Nomura's... Not Nomura is... Not the things I love about Nomura, but also, to be fair, it was not just his decision to make the remake go the way it went. He actually tried to keep it more normal at first. But 7 Remake is a great game. The problem is if you don't know 7's story, a lot of what it's doing, not even in the back third, but in like up until that point, is kind of lost on you, which means it's going to work in its own right, though. These listed creatures are void sent, right? Yeah, I feel like there's another one in a different dungeon, but I can't remember which. Yes. Listening to you while eating, and I don't think you realize how much your joy de vivre comes through in your streams. It's incredibly enjoyable. I'm glad, Ren. Thank you. I'm an animated and expressive person, if nothing else. C.S. Lewis's non-Narnia books are way better. His space trilogy is shockingly Lovecraftian, if you all know of his works, and is Narnia, which he said was targeted for children. Yeah, no, 100% agree. I do love Lewis's essays. Final Fantasy XII really felt like a gift to the Western audiences. I think the trend was mostly fine with how 10 ended, and it was us wanting a proper happy ending. You know, but like also it was marketed to the East as well, and a lot of the conventions of the going on there at the time. You may not necessarily be wrong, Professor, but I mean the other thing, and this is to say nothing of the creator's intent and whether or not that is correct. I would argue that 10 is a happy ending to an extent. It's bittersweet, but I think it's all the more powerful for it. Oh boy, this. Yep. She has the tank's head. Yes. Well, unless anyone has any final points or questions or donations that they would like to make. This has been lovely, and it's been so great to have all of you here. Thanks so much for the active forms of conversation. While it may be slowing down the process, I find it deeply enjoyable and making it all far more memorable. With that said, if you would like to support us, go ahead and join our Discord. There should be a link in the chat. You can go there and talk to all of us about lore, jobs, any sort of thing that's Final Fantasy XIV related. You can talk to me, you can talk to the other archons, or we have the many other people who are part of the Discord. It's also a great place if you want to be notified when new videos go live, whether it be the live streams or the new videos as they come up. On top of that, if you'd like to give us any more sort of support, you can also offer us $1 or $2 on Patreon. That will allow us to make this whole thing far more sustainable and make it go much further in terms of allowing me to upgrade this camera and make it a not 30 FPS, 720p looking camera. On top of that, it will allow us to save up for research materials and buy some of maybe the art books and other things that I'd like to take a look at and have on hand in case we want to pull them out. And what's more, in the future, I would like to be able to go to FanFest to do, just not only to be there live for myself, but also to be able to hopefully potentially get interviews. So, with that all said, thank you for sharing with us. Absolutely, Catherine. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Ray Ray. Oh, Chris, thank you so much. Okay, yes, I meant it sincerely. I appreciate the money very much. At the same time, yeah, just thank you. Deeply, deeply, deeply appreciated. Have a great rest of your day too, Phantom. Hopefully see you around. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Chris. See you around soon. Ateliers, hopefully thank you soon. Yeah, there'll be a stream tomorrow. It is Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday every week. That will be the stream. So if you can't make it, that's totally fine. But if you'd like to, it will be here. And with that said, have a lovely evening all, and enjoy the rest of your week.